Yes, guys, welcome back. Welcome back to another live stream. It's a late one, but with all the news that's coming out today, it wouldn't be right to leave this day without a live stream. Chelsea are through to the FA Cup final, even though it's like nobody's speaking about it right now. We've only just realised Leicester City are going to be our opponents for the final as well. We will go into that. I'm not sure when in the video we will go into that, but we will talk about the FA Cup final for a little bit. But first off, have to big up the panel, big up everyone that's locked in as well. We've got 150 of you guys with us already. Smash the like and subscribe button if you guys haven't done so already. Dag, first off, how's your weekend been and still recovering off the Chelsea result?
We can't say recovering when it's a vacation, So, it was a relaxation. It's a relaxation weekend. But no, everything is good. Looking forward to this interesting topic today. Very interesting.
Yeah, we'll delve into this. There's a lot of different perspectives to look at this into, and I'm already seeing a lot of people in the comment section. Everybody is raging about it, but only thing I will say is we'll try and look at this from both perspectives, because I can see why people can be pissed off with it. I can also see why people can be for it as well. Oscar, what are you saying, bro? Are you good?
I'm very well. Very, very happy that we're obviously in the next round of the FA Cup. Nice weather. Not much else to complain about other than this Super League news, but I think it is getting a bit blown out of proportion. So we'll discuss it today, and I'm excited. I'm excited to hear what you guys think as well.
Yeah, defo. Just as we've already spoken on Lawrence's stream, I already know how you're thinking about this, but how are you feeling anyway, bro?
It's been a great weekend. Arsenal almost lost to Fulham, which is great. Newcastle did us a favor. We're in the FA Cup final. We've got the best German manager in the Premier League. What could be better than that?
Exactly, but the way we've been looking at the moods over the last few hours, everyone is fuming. You think we just got relegated, and half of the fans want us to get relegated just based off this news. But we are going to go into it. Everyone already knows there's been heavy rumors today that there's going to be an announcement at 9:30 that 6 English clubs have signed up to a breakaway league in challenge to UEFA's plans to change the format of the Champions League in 2021. Although it is allegedly 6 English clubs, apparently it's every top 6 side except for Manchester City, but we'll probably get a bit more clarification at 9:30 as well. And the Times reported that a number of top European clubs have signed up to a breakaway Super League ahead of UEFA's planned announcement of a new Champions League format on Monday. UEFA's format was a 36-team league, which I think was going to extend the amount of games in the Champions League season by about an extra 100 games. And they were going to play in a one-league system where each team would face a select amount of 10 other teams based on a seeding system to give them a fair amount of clubs from either a high-quality club to a low-quality club. And then the top 8 teams out of that would go straight into a knockout league, with the remaining 9 to 24 going into a knockout league to pick the next 8 from there. And then from going on there, it would just be the last 16s as per usual. The 12 teams supporting the European Super League as it stands are meant to be United, Liverpool, Man City, Arsenal, Chelsea, Tottenham, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid, Inter Milan, AC Milan, and Juventus. And the Super League is rumoured to involve 15 permanent members in a 20-man league that would have 5 additional new qualifiers. Not too sure what it's based on, but I feel like that would be based on the domestic leagues as well. 20 clubs would have 10-team groups and play home and away. The top 4 teams from each group would go on to a knockout series against them, with home and away legs before the final. Teams would be seeded for the knockout games on a best versus worst basis, with the team having the best record facing the team with the worst record, for example, like the first team playing the team with the 8th and the worst record. And overall, that would be about 15 games. Now, Jesters, you said as well that this isn't going to impact the Premier League games either. This would be played in midweek. So really and truly, with all the amount of games that we would be playing already, I feel like the biggest issue with that, if we had a second new league, would be us just extending our squad. And we've already spoken in strength and depth of the squad anyway. I feel like if we were to move to a European Super League, we just have to adapt a bit more in terms of maybe having to bring more players into the squad. But if there's more money coming into the team because we've moved there, that should just be something easy for us to sort out anyway.
Well, I think everybody pining for the youth to be played. Here's a great example of where it could be done. Because you have more games, you have to have a bigger squad. That means more youth get more game time. That means Callum gets more game time. That means Livramento, when he comes through, gets more game time. If Ruben comes back, it means he can get more game time to get back in form. So it's great for those who want to see more Cobham graduates get into the squad. And it's great for all of us like me who don't give a flying flip about anybody else but Chelsea and don't care how it's going to impact other teams. Because I want Chelsea to win every trophy every year, smash everybody. So I'm happy. I mean, there's no downside to that.
See, that's the thing as well. Like, I get why a lot of fans would be angry about it, but I'd understand a lot more if it was fans not of the teams involved in this. Like, I look at this from a Chelsea perspective, and yeah, okay, this is my initial thoughts as well. I get that morally you can have a debate about whether this is right or not. I think financially, though, you're looking at it from the club's perspective, it gives the club more money. It puts them in a much more marketable situation, and it also makes them a lot more attractive to the best players in the world because they're going to be able to offer more money. They're going to be in the bigger league because it's already going to downgrade the Champions League as a result if this move happens. So I feel like a lot of the anger is shock right now, and I'm seeing a lot of people saying, oh, I'm never supporting Chelsea if this happens again. Don't lie to yourself. Like, you're going to be watching Chelsea just like we all are. Be real about it. If you don't like it, fine. And I get a lot of reasons why people wouldn't like it. But I also feel like if this was to happen, it wouldn't necessarily be the worst thing in the world for us. It would be the worst thing in the world for the other clubs in the Premier League. But even with the Premier League, I feel like it low-key makes them more competitive as well. You give that, other than unless Man City actually stays in there, because then it just becomes absolutely monopolized. But if that's not the case, I think you see a much more competitive league in there too. I think a lot of people don't like the change, and a lot of the reason why they don't like the change too is because we're happy with the format the way it is. And you've got every reason to be happy with the way the format is. It works. We don't really see too much issues with it, so I understand that. But I feel if this is already happening, you do have to try and start looking at the positives into this. And you can look at it from a positive perspective if you're a Chelsea fan, because we look to reap the benefits out of it. It looks a lot worse if you're a team out of it. Oscar, what's your thoughts?
I definitely don't look at it in the same way as you just put it. I would say for me, the success or failure of this hinges on the idea of how those 5 teams are selected. So you mentioned that there's 15 teams that are permanent members, right? And then there's 5 teams that can climb in and out, right? That to me is very, very important in determining whether I'm for or against this Super League. Because if you don't have a situation in which clubs are allowed to better their scenario and become big clubs, for example, when I first started watching Chelsea, we weren't considered a big club. Back in the 90s when we were just trying to win the FA Cup and get into the top 4, hopefully, you know. But I was lucky enough to see Roman Abramovich come into the club. We started winning trophies and now we're a big club in Europe. So now we're in contention for this Super League. Whereas back in the day, we wouldn't have been. And I think that is the fabric of these football leagues, not just in England, in Spain, in Germany, whatever. The idea that if you're a club in the 3rd division, you can win your league and then win the 2nd league and then win the league. And then you're in the top half of the top flight, basically. So there is progression, and that progression has to be based on sporting achievement. The reason people care about the Premier League still right now, we know Man City have won the league. The reason we still care about the Premier League is because who's going to make it in the top 4? Is it going to be Liverpool? Is it going to be Chelsea? Is it going to be Leicester? Is it going to be West Ham? These stories are still important. Like, they still mean something. And West Ham, who knows, if they propel themselves into the Champions League, they get a few signings right, they find themselves in a title race, they get another few signings right. In 5 years' time, we're looking at them as a big club. And I think every club, no matter how small they are, should have the right to progress to the level and status that Chelsea have got to, that Man City have got to, that PSG have got to, when those clubs weren't necessarily that 15 years ago. So for me, I'm not outright saying, no, the Super League is bad, but I do need to wait for this 9:30 announcement to see how the format works and to
Oscar,
make a further decision.
I agree with a lot of what you're saying, and I wouldn't want the format to change. If I'll be real, we could just keep it the way it is, and like today ain't even happened. I wouldn't care too much about it. My thing is that football's broken in itself. Like, football is so money orientated. I always want to advocate for keeping it with the fans, and I'm not even actively agreeing to the Super League. It's just right now with how strong the rumors are, like, this sounds like it's actually happening, and if it's happening, it's out of our hands. If it is out of our hands, really and truly, we are in a better position than a lot of other clubs would be as a club. In terms of fans, in terms of being able to follow the club, you are in a much worse position, which is why there's so many different perspectives into it, which is why I'm also saying, if you're in the comment section saying I'm actively agreeing with this, don't, because I'm looking at it from both perspectives. I think there are positives to this as the club. I think there are negatives to this as well. I think a lot of people are heavily pushed onto the negatives of it. And from some perspectives, I can understand that too. But there are positives to it as well. Financially, it will benefit the club. Whether you like it or not, it will do. And that's what I can understand.
If the benefits are only financial, then it benefits
the
club
benefits are only financial,
not the sport. It doesn't benefit
but
the
that's
sport,
the thing. Morally, there are problems. I completely understand, and I'm not ignoring that either. If I had my way, we wouldn't even be talking about this. But we are talking about this, and it looks like it's going to happen. If it is going to happen, you do need to try and find some positives out of this. And as Chelsea, we're in a better position because we will be in it. So the only positives you can take out of it is financial. And yeah, you shouldn't be looking at it as a financial perspective for football because it's so much more than that. But is it really at this point? Do you know how much money is a big factor in football these days? It's got to the point where we're past taking it back from there. And we complain so much about how the game is money orientated. It's got to this point.
Yeah.
And we're here.
Yeah.
And we don't like it, but we are here. At the very least, if we are here, it kind of benefits us that we will be making more money. And in 5-10 years, we're going to be looking so much more attractive because we are in there. That's the only positive. Everything else, it still looks shitty.
Yeah, I agree.
I got, just to come back on Oscar's point, I don't think the UCL or the Europa League would go away necessarily. So the hypothetical scenario you presented to us would not change because, again, if the top big six in England aren't factored into UCL, that opens up spots for those teams that traditionally never have a chance to play Champions League football.
The West Ham.
The West Hams, Leicester's, Newcastle, if they get by, Everton.
I'm about to be controversial, man, but I'll just continue.
So
go on, Justice.
So that would still happen. And then if Europa gets pushed further down, then those teams that would never make it to Europa would have a chance at something more, and they would financially gain from that. Just this idea that it's a zero-sum game is kind of a false equivalence. It's not a zero-sum game. The UCL will stay around because there are still plenty of teams that they could build a UCL format around. And those teams realistically never have a chance because, as we know, the big teams will always dominate those competitions. The days are gone of the small team coming up, the Cinderella story, because there's so much money already in football. You just have to understand it's there already. So maximize it to benefit yourself, and it will benefit the smaller teams because they have a chance to do something that they would never have a chance to do.
Yeah. I mean, I think we can dumb it down. I think we can dumb it down to, I think the main problem is the fact that those 15 teams they don't have any relegation. I think that's a big problem. I think if they switch that into a format where, like, for the first 2-3 years, because it's just starting, right? So for the first 2-3 years, these 15 teams are not going to get relegated. But if they do drop off in their normal leagues, then they will get relegated, right? But the thing is, like, if what the FA and what the separate leagues are saying, if that's true, then the fact that they can't be relegated is important because they're going to be relegated from their normal leagues. So they're not going to get any support from the EPL, La Liga, or Serie A. So, and they can't even do that because all the players the viewers tune into those leagues for are going to be in this Super League. So the whole thing where they're going to try banning players and they're going to ban their internationals, I don't think they can afford that, simply put. Like there's too many players that are in those that are in the teams that were named that they have all the control. I mean, yeah, there's the PSGs and the cities, but I mean, is it going to be fair if it's just PSG and City playing in their own leagues with
Can I-
Austin Villa?
I feel like
Yeah.
PSG aren't
Can I
agreeing
be
to it,
some
though,
adequate-
because of
adequate
their
about
connection
that?
with FIFA.
Yeah, that's
Guys, have another
They're run by Qatar,
Should
and
I put
Qatar
another point?
literally
Agree.
they've got the whole 2022 World Cup.
I should have
So
put
they
another
aren't going to
point.
slap them in the face right now. Maybe after 2022, maybe. But
Yeah.
we have to wait until then.
I'm gonna put some positives for you, just because for me, I feel like people are starting to overrate what's called the league in terms of the West Hams and West Ham becoming a big club. And I just want to touch on Oscar's point about if West Ham get top 4 this season. From my point of view, maybe before you guys watch football long on me, but Miles, let's see that Cinderella story what happened. Are you guys forgetting that these guys almost got relegated the season like literally the next season? There's no such. I don't think a small team can ever let's say achieve greatness, man. I just don't think that, man. You see, let's see, 5 years on from now, they're still struggling to get top 4. It's a massive struggle. It's not even like you can have the best first 11, but it's about do you have the right bench? You have bench players, rotation. Can you keep
look
the
at Sheffield.
players? Can you pay the players? Can you
Yeah,
pay your
but here's the
players?
thing: if you
to
have
them
that sort,
support?
if you have that sort of money that the Super League brings, you're just going to buy more players and have a bigger squad to manage that, in my opinion.
Yeah, but I'm talking about. That's what I'm saying. That for me, it's a positive that I get what's called join. I don't want to join the Super League, man. I'm not trying to watch 10 p.m. what's called football at Dubai, man. Because half of these games will be at Dubai, man. They won't even be at Stamford
Well,
Bridge.
that's
They're gonna be at
not
Dubai,
that's
man.
not being proposed yet. So let's not
Now,
jump to
wasn't
that.
it going to be home and away games, just
Yeah,
as
as of-
usual?
as of
I
now-
get the
as of now-
traveling is a
something.
problem in itself too.
It said something about Stamford. What's it called? And only having like 3 games at Stamford Bridge, man.
No. As of now, what's being proposed is European home and away. So let's just talk about that, because if we talk about the possibility of what it could become, then we could get into 100 different
2
hypothetical
hours. Yeah, 2
conversations.
hours. Yeah.
Big
Let's
up
talk about
George as
what it
well.
is.
The donation saying Crooked
Yeah, but
FIFA
actually-
is going to tell teams not to do anything to benefit themselves. That's funny, really funny. Have a nice day, lads.
I should
Yeah,
ask you guys a question real
But
quick, though.
just
Has the
into
league ever been
Oh,
really competitive? Like, really, has it ever really been competitive?
The Premier
yes, it
League.
has.
Yes,
Like,
it
it's
has.
never. For me, it's been more competitive than the likes of, let's say, La Liga or a Bundesliga. But in terms of the team are dominating, man. Like ever since like Man United, it's been very few teams that have actually. I don't think it's as competitive.
Yeah,
and
but you got to look at the
No, he's
competition in between the seasons. Like the 18-19 season, it went through to the final day. Yes, Liverpool and Manchester City have had seasons over the last few years where they've dominated, but it has been a very competitive league. The top 4 race is increasingly competitive every season. The Europa League race gets more competitive season by season. Right now, we're not even looking at a top 2. I mean, we're not even looking at a top 6 anymore, because we have the likes of Everton, Aston Villa, Wolves all getting involved in the conversation.
The last 3 seasons,
Tottenham are in 9th place right now. Spurs have been fighting around mid-table the last few weeks. If you take a look on the other perspective, Premier League has been massively competitive.
Yeah.
in terms of
I mean,
competitive, as in a good way, have all the teams been good or have some teams been poor?
I think Kazi's right. Like, essentially, the top clubs that dominate for the Premier League are the clubs that have a lot of money,
Spend money. They spend almost money.
and are at top. And realistically, the only team that has won the Premier League and challenged for it without a boatload of money is probably just Arsenal, and what Arsene Wenger did in the 90s. But
The best scouts and the best scouts, man.
when I'm talking about the Super League and I'm saying all the things I don't want to happen, that doesn't necessarily mean I'm happy with the way football is right now. I think the Premier League is a bit too money hungry as it is right now. I feel like the situation isn't perfect. So I think a lot of people who are against the Super League, people are saying stuff like, oh, how can you be against this greediness when you support this greediness? Where it's like, well, no, I don't actually support what's currently going on. I just think it should be a situation where the essence of the sport is still kept competitive. It's still kept to a place where you can actually progress and go up and down the ladder. And I think when it comes to all these other sporting bodies like FIFA and UEFA and all these guys saying, oh, if you've got players in this league, then they can't play in the World Cup, or if you've got players in this, then they can't play in this.
Being best stingy.
It throws it up into disrepute. There has to be a way for these smaller clubs to get into that Super League, and it has to be fair. Jester mentioned the idea of there being a Champions League and that now being a level where West Ham and Leicester can go to. And that's great, but that's not the elite level of football anymore. That's now the second tier. The Super League will be the top tier. The Champions League will be the second tier. So unless there's a way for those second tier teams to get to the top, I'm not in support of it.
There's a problem
Right
here,
now, I
is that
don't even
there's
know
no
if there would be,
relegation.
though.
There's no
Because
relegation as well, man.
UEFA
It's
aren't
gonna
in
be-
agreement of this. They're all trying to make threats saying that they're not going to let teams into the Champions League. They're not going to let teams into the Premier League. FIFA saying they're not going to let players part of those teams into a World Cup. And also as well, for people saying that, I think those are massive bluffs too. Because you're not going to have a World Cup without your best players in the world playing in there. You're not going to make the European Super League even more marketable than it is right now by
But why do you
making it
look
the
at it
only
that way?
place where you could see clubs like Manchester United, Liverpool, Chelsea, Real Madrid, clubs like this. If you kick them out of your respective leagues, you're telling people the only place that they can find them is the European Super League. You make it even more attractive to players to want to go there because they're still going to be earning more money, and you're going to make it more attractive to other fans who want to go and watch them, meaning they're going to go watch their team more, and the TV deals that the Premier League needs as well are only going to go down as well, and that's going to worsen them too. So I don't see any way that they're getting kicked out of their respective leagues if they agree with this.
But I think you're looking at it in the other way. So you're basically saying, look, if these guys withdraw their players from those leagues, then no one's going to watch the World Cup. But in the opposite way, the Super League hasn't been confirmed. So when FIFA are saying you're not going to have your players in the World Cup, it's like putting your cards on the table for a negotiation. It's not necessarily what's going to happen, but it's basically putting their foot down and saying, look, we're not with you, we're not on your wavelength. So change up your situation.
But then with that,
so that we
then
can
I
negotiate.
ask, is this entire thing just a push to try and get UEFA to change their format?
Yo,
Because
guys,
if this is a negotiation tactic, it could go back the other way and they get exactly what they want. And this conversation becomes completely pointless.
I am absolutely fuming at this decision because, like, I know this is a bit of a personal question to you, Lewis, but bro, like, how long have you been attending Stamford Bridge to go and watch football, or across England or across Europe, whatever? How long have you been doing this for?
First game I went to was 08-09.
08-09?
I didn't start going home games like regularly, like weekly, until about 15-16 though. And then I just started building regularly from then.
Well, fair enough. And you said 09, that's 12 years ago. That's 12 years of your life you devoted to following a football club around Europe, watching them week in and week out.
Yeah.
So what they're basically trying to tell us, right, that you that's devoted 12 years of your life this to the Premier League, watching in the Premier League, watching Chelsea, going all over England, and I guarantee you probably you live in London, so you probably went to the north of England, which is Newcastle, which is probably like 4 or 5 hours away, and you
longer than that.
You've been doing this for over 12 years. Now, that's not the only question I have. The only problem I have with this whole Super League thing. The other problem I have is how can you do a proper feasibility study? Because I major in business management. How can you do a proper feasibility study in a pandemic? Can someone please explain that to me? How can we do a proper feasibility study during a pandemic where businesses aren't making money? The same clubs that are agreeing, 2 of them are in extreme financial hardship, which is Real Madrid and Barcelona. So please explain this.
I can.
I think maybe because the only thing I could have to counter that is that this was apparently meant to be in the moves for years now. Yeah. Like there's so many people that have said rumors about this. Even Arsene Wenger.
Arsene Wenger wanted it. I think.
Yeah,
he was talking about it for quite some time as well.
Did he outright say he wanted it?
Plus, they have $6 billion in backing. $6 billion goes a long way. $6 billion in backing, and they have a major bank.
Have you heard about Squad Dayzone?
But even look at it this way, like Sir Alex Ferguson is 79 years old. He committed 27 years of, it's 27 years. 27 years of your life to my sister. You devoted 27 years of your life to a football club to basically tell you now in 2021 when you're nearly 80 that didn't matter anymore. So I don't get that, bro.
It's not like that, though. What you got to understand, when Alex Ferguson took over Manchester United, the Premier League didn't even exist. The Premier League didn't even exist.
Well,
It was
actually,
Division One. They created a whole Premier League, and this conversation we're having now,
Okay,
they had that same
23 years,
conversation 20 years ago. People
You
were
ain't-
just wait, hold on. People were just as furious about the invention of the Premier League and the Champions League as we are now, because it didn't level the playing field in terms of how the money was generated, and it became a money league back in those days, 80s and 70s and whatnot. Any team could win the league, like any team could come up from whatever and win the league. Now we're talking about a situation where only the teams with money can dominate, and I'm saying like. The reason we have got to the point of a Super League,
dominated 90s
because
of that.
Yeah, but like
the reason
this
we've got to a Super League is because the Premier League and the Champions League have not done their job in making sure that the top clubs are looked after. So financially, it doesn't
Lack of
benefit
communication,
Chelsea.
Oscar.
It
Lack of
doesn't
communication.
benefit Chelsea financially to be in a league with teams like Burnley and Bournemouth and whatever, when they're not contributing as much to the league as we are. We're a big club, so financially we should be getting a much bigger split of the thing. But in my opinion, that turns this whole thing into a business situation and not a football situation. And for me, footballing,
There's no
Mate, I don't want Burnley to be in the
communication.
Premier League, man.
guys.
Fuck Burnley. Fuck Burnley, man. And their what's called break style of football, man. They should have been in the Premier League, man. They're boring, man. Fucking hate watching them play football, man.
But that's the
One
thing,
more-
though. That's all we get nowadays. Like, look. I'm gonna be perfectly honest, right? As an American, right, or a plastic fan, as the chat would love to say. But
The
I
proper
don't
Chelsea.
hold on, I don't go to games. I simply don't, and I can't lie about it. For that reason, I don't have that big of an emotional impact to the Premier League as people do. I genuinely do not care about the Premier League, right? It's a matter. I care about Chelsea, as Jester said, right? This helps Chelsea. It does not help the Premier League. That's true. But the fact of the matter is, I don't go to the game, so I don't have any sort of like commitment to the place that we are at. So for me, I really don't see why this is such a bad thing for Chelsea or why it's such a bad thing for the Big Six, because it's simply going to level the
it's not.
playing field for everyone.
But
It's going to
bro,
level the
this-
playing field for
these
everyone else.
tickets
I don't know
are
why
gonna be
people are.
expensive though, bro. These tickets are going to be expensive. Like if we're like seriously concerning, like for example,
I know. That's why
this one
it
week,
really
like
affects me.
this is going to be really hard because I don't know like how supporters like they're not everyone's fortunate enough to go to every single Chelsea game, but like the one Chelsea game you probably want to go to will be the one against a club like Chelsea versus Sevilla. And even that would be a good game. Even that would be probably expensive as well. So I don't know if this is gonna work. Also, what I do have a question about is you like for example, for a player that we have like Billy Gilmore, usually we play him in cup games, usually we play him against games that already matter. So you're trying to sit down and tell me now that if I'm playing Bayern Munich in this league, no, Bayern Munich is sitting there agreeing to it. For example, if we're playing Atletico Madrid in this league with Koke and Diego Llorente in there, I'm supposed to play Billy Gilmore in a midfield against two midfielders that's been doing well throughout Europe for many years. An 18-year-old against these, this isn't making sense then. Because I personally, if you have Billy Gilmore, I'm going to play him in cup games or against lesser opponents like Southampton or Burnley or something. I'm not going to go and play Billy Gilmore against Real Madrid right now. That when we have to play them in the semifinals, I'm not going to play Billy Gilmore. So in this Super League, if we're playing Billy Gilmore against his team, this is going to be an unfair advantage.
By the way, just let me
It
say
doesn't make
this.
sense.
Arsenal getting into this Super League, yeah, it's a fucking disgrace, man. They drew with Fulham, yeah. It's a disgrace, man.
But
It's
there
an
you
honest
go, though.
disgrace.
But there you go.
Yeah, but if
that's part of my
It
point. though.
just shows
That's
how
part
it's
of my
all
point.
just based on marketability. Because
Exactly.
realistically,
It's a
we're talking about
disgrace,
the
man.
top six.
Stan
It should
Kroenke's
be
a
Leicester
Sherman of
City
this
over
thing.
Arsenal, but
Stan Kroenke.
because they're going for marketability, and Arsenal are still meant to be one of the biggest clubs in England, they're getting an invite. And the comment here as well says it perfectly. It's not a bad thing for the big six. It's a bad thing for smaller teams. And like that's the point I'm constantly trying to make. And this is why, from Chelsea, I understand why we're all pissed off by this. But I'm also trying to say that if this does go through, we're in a better position than a lot of clubs. So
Quick
just
question.
keep
But
that in mind.
are we though?
Quick question. Why don't let the fans
Only
decide it,
financially
though?
we are. In every other sense, I still think we're as worse off. But that's the only positive that you can take out of this.
But Lewis,
Go on,
don't you
Fab, what
think?
are you saying?
I was gonna say, like, what did you think that why don't you let the fans decide it? Number one.
Because they will
Number
never
two,
work.
They don't have the
They
team.
won't
without
decide.
fans,
They're
They-
free.
it means nothing then.
Because there's too much
Thatcher,
money in there.
We contribute to revenue, right?
reason-
But they're the owners. We contribute to
Thatcher,
revenue, but
Thatcher.
they're the owners.
Relax.
But like
Same
for
reason
example, like
why fans don't select who we sign. We don't have that. We don't have. We
Well,
the
you say
same
you
reason
don't,
why
we don't have
sign-
the rights to choose
really,
though.
this
No,
is really
you don't.
political.
You
No,
don't own the
No,
team.
you don't own
No,
the
but-
team. Like
but-
for example, bro. Like for example, like if we are in the government and the UK decides to and
Oscar's face, man.
and the UK decides to change the design of the electric bus and elderly people can't even get on it properly. It's difficult for elderly people to get on. They
What
don't
is
care
this?
if elderly people can get on. They just care about doing an electric bus. They're not going to send out no poll. It's the same thing for us right now as football fans. So we don't even have a say in it, and that's why I'm angry about it.
First of all, you do have a say in government. You vote.
Yeah,
So
but I mean,
that's no. Stop. That's not even a good point. Second of all, Chelsea is owned by Roman Abramovich. If he wants to go into the Super League, you don't have a say because you didn't pay the money for the club. Now, if you did, you would. It's a
Yep.
private business. They have every right to do what they want to do.
Yeah.
You have two choices at that point. Continue to be a
supporting.
Chelsea fan or stop being a Chelsea fan.
Facts.
Another point is this is not going to change Premier League. There will still be a Premier League. It will still be the same teams, the same format. It just will be the top 6 clubs aren't in for UCL football anymore, which will open it up to Everton, West Ham, Leicester, Newcastle, Wolves. So they get a piece of that big pie at
But UCL won't
UCL.
ever be the same though.
It won't,
It
it won't-
doesn't
it won't be-
It won't ever be the
it
same.
won't be a big pie.
It won't be a big pie, man. I'm
It ain't
sorry.
a
It won't
big
be.
pie.
it doesn't make sense.
It won't
man.
bring in the views,
It'll
man.
be a pie
Everton
that
won't
they
bring
didn't
in.
have access to, though.
Everton.
It's
But
still a
Everton
pie
is
that
good.
they never had access to.
No, but Everton can't bring
It's
what's called the
just- it's just
viewership
more
and
games.
sponsors.
It's
The
just
way
more
how
games.
it's just more games, man. They
It's just
can't.
more games that no one's gonna
UCL
watch.
The UCL is one of the most viewed things. UCL finals and quarterfinals, they're viewed, man. What's called by millions of fans. No one's gonna
You-
tune in to fucking watch Everton. Yeah, Dominic
You
Calvert-Lewin.
Is the
And
Europa
freaking
League
Dean.
not viewed?
One
No one's
sec.
gonna
What
do
do you
that,
think
man.
about Fiorentino Perez
Is the
apparently
Europa League not viewed?
holding the chairman's role?
Not anywhere near as
Oh
much as
my
the Champions
God.
League.
What
Nowhere
the
near the
Premier-
CL, bro.
Not anywhere near as
But
much.
like for example, guys, what's
that's
the
the point,
Premier League?
right?
But what's the Premier League without
That's the
Man
point.
United and Liverpool? Those are the two teams that dominated English football, like
How much
for
you get
many
from
years.
From the Europa, how much you get from the Europa anyway, man? Like it's
I
not
don't
gonna
know.
be that much, man.
It's
Half
150 million.
a million at least, half a million
Yeah.
euros to win at least. I don't know.
$500,000
And
euros. Come on.
Also
come
another
on.
question. Also another question, right? So for example, for owners like United and Arsenal, where their owners don't tend to invest the way all the fans like it. Like if they're not even investing for now in the Premier League, do you think they're gonna invest when there's a big Super League? So like, what's the point for Arsenal going in there for Kroenke? He still isn't gonna invest to give them the players to be competing against the likes of Real Madrid. What's the sense of what's the point of it then?
There's more money for them because the Premier League is not run in the best way for the big clubs. It doesn't
Fair
help them
enough.
financially.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
there is
I
more
agree.
there is more money for a club like Arsenal in a Super League that is controlled by the clubs because, like we were saying, like this is a capitalist thing at the end of the day. These clubs are owned by owners who have their financial interests at heart. So those are the most important things. I think the people that are against this are the people that care about this as a sporting body, that care more about the sport than the owners. So, for example, if you care about like tennis, you might like Serena Williams. You don't care about the financial implications of Serena Williams. You just want to see the best tennis. You just want to see the best tennis taking place. So I think some people in football, they just want to see the best football. They just want to see a competitive sport. And it's not necessarily about, oh, yeah, this is going to make money for Chelsea. But I don't really care about that.
Yeah.
I want to see a good game of football.
Proper game of football.
And so,
Fair enough.
so what's a better game of football? Chelsea Barcelona or Chelsea Krasnodar?
No, Chelsea Barcelona is obviously
Chelsea.
the better football.
Yeah,
It's
but the
obviously
thing
the
is,
better
yeah,
football, but
difference, yeah,
it,
it's not gonna
it,
be what's called as rare as
it
used to be,
brackets
man.
it. It brackets it to those people. You don't get, you might get your Serena Williams versus, the top female, but you don't get a Naomi Osaka rising up from beneath. That's what
I was
people
gonna
are
say
worried
this.
about.
You're
Say
not
this.
getting that now anyway.
Right, I'm
Wait,
going
we
to drop this
are. We
StreamYard
are.
link as well
We
for
are.
anyone else who wants that.
There's a
We've got
handful of
25 minutes
teams.
before the announcement's meant to come out.
Yep, there's a
Yeah.
handful of teams
Yeah.
that will always be favored to
Chips will
win
kick.
the Champions
Yes.
League, right?
Yeah.
That's the Europa League,
Yeah.
right?
and it's not Krasnodar, and it's not Prague, and
Yeah.
it's not any of those small teams. They're never going to win the Champions League.
Does that
It's
mean
gonna-
we should be happy with that reality, though?
No, I mean, no.
There's nothing you can do about it.
Yes,
It
you
is
can.
reality. No.
You can employ salary caps. You can make things fairer. You can make
Yes.
things fairer across the
Okay.
league. Like
Yeah.
you can.
No, stop. Let me. I had the same art. All right. I brought up this point in a different stream. So let me bring it up now. You live in a third world country. Your only way to provide for your family is through your athletics, through football. And now you're being told that you can't make what you want to make because there's a salary cap. So you can't lift your entire family out of poverty with generational wealth because now there's a salary cap.
Correct.
Are you going to be for that?
No. Well,
No.
there's levels to it. Though. There's levels to it.
No,
I'm not for that, but I'm also not for this idea where anyone can just buy the league.
But they
I'm
can
not-
do that.
No,
Oscar,
not
look
either.
at how
That's
it
in
is
the
now.
rules.
Oscar, look at how it is now. Look at last season. Look at last season. Where did Sheffield United end? Where did they finish off?
They were
8th.
7th last season, I think.
I thought they were 8th, actually.
Where they-
They're relegated. They're relegated.
So
They're
how
relegated,
did
yeah.
it help them? That Cinderella story we were talking about.
Yeah,
They
that's
came
'cause they
up
had-
and
that's
right back down.
That's footballing reasons, though. They were terrible football.
No, it's not. They simply did not have the money to reinvest into their club.
No. They bought players. They bought Ray and Brewster. They bought the wrong players, and they didn't spend that much money coming up in the first place. So that's a footballing issue. What you guys are saying about how these clubs don't really challenge right now, I agree with that. But I'm saying just because it's this way now doesn't mean I have to be happy about it. Doesn't mean
No,
I
I
have
didn't
to.
say you have to be happy, but it is reality. And it's at a point to where if to do that, you would have to have a government takeover of these teams to make a level playing field.
Yeah.
If that's what you want, you're saying, well, we want all these billionaire investors out. We're going to have it owned by cities or governments who can't run anything anyway. They always screw something up. And then you're, again, reducing the income of the players. You know, the people that actually entertain us on the field. The people that are using that to lift their families out of poverty, to make generational wealth, you're taking all of that away. So again, you want billionaires to invest their money in these clubs so salaries get higher, so you can lift more people out of poverty that have the talents to do so. You don't want to put a cap on that. You don't want to retard that effort because it's worked for so many. And we're not talking about small wealth. We're talking about generational wealth that you can pass down to your kids. So for me, more money is always good because it might not always go to the exact people you want to, but it is going to help them have higher salaries.
It's
Yeah,
not clear
but you-
association
you
though,
monopolize
because I
the
want to know
league.
this. But how does the players feel about this though? Like oh, I want a player
We
event.
haven't heard much from the players.
A player eventually is probably going to discuss. A
The
player,
player
event,
money.
yeah, it's more money, yes, but I
Way
don't know how
more
players
money.
feel about it. It's more money.
It's more money, but you're also playing the best teams and you got the best competition in there too. So we
Yeah.
haven't heard a lot from the players, but if you're going to ask my opinion, I don't think it's going to take a lot to persuade a lot of them. Like, it's either playing the most
Can I
competitive.
ask one
league-
thing? Yeah, why would you
Make
want
the
to
best-
want?
It's not really a matter of.
Wait,
It's not,
why would you want to want a big club week in, week out? Though why? For money?
that gives you the opportunity.
Yeah.
That gives you the opportunity to expand your brand, your whole marketing system, dude. Like it's
Not
very
only that,
Look,
so much.
players want to play the best players in the world to show that they're
Fact.
better. It's
Fact.
called competition. If I'm a player, do I want to play the 100th ranked person and beat them, or do I want to play? Do I want to beat the number 1 ranked person? It's always a number. It's competitive. That's the drive. That's what they.
I
they
That's
agree.
the thing
struggle.
I kind of understand as well, because people are going to say, "Oh, yeah, but it takes away from us playing Barcelona every now and then, it being magical." But everyone still milks El Clasico every season, so it don't really make too much.
We still get excited.
You'll
to
make
face
more
Arsenal
rivalries
and
with
Tottenham.
these
Yeah.
Real Madrids and
I mean-
these Barcelonas if you play them.
for me, when we were talking about who we want to face, Liverpool or Real Madrid, one of the big factors for me was that we haven't faced Real Madrid in the Champions League, and that's silly for a team that's been to the Champions League semi-final 8 times. Real Madrid have won it so many times. We've won it recently. We've never come across them once. So my point is, whilst I agree that the Premier League, UEFA, all of these governing bodies haven't done enough to progress football to the level where it's financially better for the clubs and it's more entertaining, I'm just not sure if this Super League is the best way to change.
It's not the best idea.
It's not.
Like,
It's not.
I need to hear it. It might be. It might be. I just need to hear what it is.
Big up Fantasy.
That's going to be it. That's going to be it.
One sec. Big up Fantasy PGA Tour saying anyone in favour of a European Super League can get right out of the club, in my opinion. No debate for real football fans. I'll be real, overall as a fan, like I really wish we keep the format the way it is. I just think we're way past it now. I don't think it's a change unless UEFA, to be honest, change their model. Because if that changes, I do think that would be enough to turn things back around.
Lewis,
and that is something UEFA can do as well if they're serious about wanting to stop this. Big up
lack of
Plus,
communication
what are you
all
saying,
around.
bro?
The
This is
point
going
is
to be
there is
expensive.
loads of lack of communication all around. So
It is. There's no way that they could.
What
Can I
sense
have
do
a
you
word?
think that? What
Luke,
sense?
can I have a word?
There's
Go
no
on,
way that
Plus,
they
what
could
were you
afford
saying?
us.
I said UEFA itself have changed the pattern of Champions League twice. They came into being in 1955, and there were a lot of teams that boycotted, and there were 16 top teams that took part in it, and then it changed again in 1992, where English team boycotted. In 1992, there was no English team in Champions League. So right now, there was a point made that Arsenal, why would they be in Champions League? Listen, this would be the first season. They want to attract the best teams, right? Obviously, the American bank Chase is involved and Glazers are involved. It would be massive, but it doesn't mean that the 15 teams going to be remaining the same teams. And another point Jester made, which Jester, I actually like you, but you do sound sometimes a bit like not nice, because you said that having a super league would benefit players like Joe. I think that was a really low point. You shouldn't make those sort of points, because I actually did not appreciate that. I mean,
Well, I'm sorry about that. I'm not here for your feelings. But
yeah, but that was also very dumb. That was
No.
dumb.
no, facts are facts. More games means you have to have more rotation, which means you have more game time for players that are not usually in the squad. That's how that works.
That
But
is
you
so
shouldn't be
funny.
naming them. You shouldn't be naming them. I mean, there are a lot of players.
Yeah,
Listen,
but we're just talking about youth players. It's not a dig at Joe.
Yeah.
when Super League comes, PSG is not signing up right now because their owner
not
is linked with UEFA
That's
owner.
not true. That's not true.
What's not true?
What's not true?
There's 15 teams.
Yeah.
Let's name them. The 6 from England: Inter, Milan, Juve, Barcelona,
Yeah,
Real
but
Madrid,
listen,
Atletico Madrid.
listen.
Who's the other
The
three?
first
Who can't
season
afford? Wait,
is
I have a
only
question.
advertisement, okay?
Who's the
They're
other
going to
three?
make it big, but the pattern will change after a year. It happened in 1992. It happened in 1955. So it's not going to
PSG.
remain the same.
Bayern Munich and Dortmund are the other 3 teams being with their names out there. So that's
Listen,
15 teams.
Well, those three teams haven't been confirmed. That is not the whole
Right,
point.
but they are the other
Well, I
3
think
teams
we've already
being mentioned.
discussed the whole
Yeah, but
PSG
they
thing.
would next
We've already
year.
discussed the
They
whole
would.
PSG.
But that's going. But I have a question. Like, how can like the average football fan afford this? Like this? There's no way this Super League is sustainable. How can the average football fan afford to travel from Stamford Bridge in London to go to I don't know, the Wanda Metropolitano 1 week, and then the next week I gotta go to I don't know to Monaco.
It doesn't
To
matter.
Monaco.
They do it now.
That's where it takes it away from the
Yeah,
fans.
it doesn't matter. But they do it now. Yeah, like just saying, the Champions League that happens now, and
Yeah, but
the fans play in the
but
Premier,
that
they play in
is
Premier League
not
still.
weekly. But the Champions League is not every week. You could afford to do that for 1 or 2 games, but like you're traveling to a different country every single week. Imagine that, bro.
You
You assume that this is every
not
week.
replacing the Premier League.
Listen,
This
UEFA is
replacing
not a very clean organization itself. So as soon as a Super League would be big, UEFA would do a deal with them, and they would be sold off. Literally, they would be sell off. They will get the money, and they will be like, okay, we're not gonna do the cases and stuff. So you're thinking that UEFA is one of the best organization. No, look at what they did with they literally were involved with Madrid and Barcelona. Have you not seen the matches in Champions League? The referees were bought. So UEFA is not one of the purest organizations that I would trust and I would fight for. It's not.
Fight for.
A big up benefits in football created by the poor, stolen by the rich. Sam Dovey as well saying the families out of poverty argument doesn't fly. Poor people without sponsors can't send their kids to academies. Even Zlatan complained about that. What was the families out of poverty argument? Is that for
That was my.
Yeah.
That was.
For what?
But again, that was my argument that more money in the game means higher salaries, which means poor family. Talented kids from poor families would make generational wealth. What you're not also understanding is if you're paying players more money, those players go back and invest in their countries. They start
Foundations,
camps
charity organizations,
and clubs so they can develop the talent in their country. I think Ziyech does stuff like that. There's a number of them that go back and they give back. If they have more money in their pocket, that's more they can give back.
Listen, Jester, you're you're so lost. What are you talking about?
What do you mean? How?
And you're talking about
is he
Ziyech
lost?
and
Hold on. He's talking about. Listen. Hold on. He's talking about the creation of this new.
He's a waffler. He's a waffler, man. He's a
I know, but I mean,
professional
at some point, because if you look at the comments, they seem to be agreeing with him. So I guess we need to talk to everybody here. This league is not replacing the Premier League; it's replacing the Champions League. So it's not every week; it's every 3 months. You have those 2 weeks of games, which is how it's normally done.
Yeah, but we don't know that. Though.
No. That's not so. That's not right. No,
Champions League.
I thought they said that they're changing the format of the Champions League. I didn't hear them say they're going to abolish the whole Champions League. I didn't hear that. I heard them say that they're changing the format or something.
No. This would take.
No, the Champions League isn't being abolished. There's
Champions
going to be another midweek competition, but it's going to be in a league format.
And UEFA have no right.
The Premier League
UEFA have no right to stop players playing in EPL or national team. They only have a right for players not to play in Champions League. That's it.
Okay.
They don't have a right to say a local lads not to play in the
But
Premier
FIFA
League
want to say that though.
all the governing bodies are joining
FIFA
together.
different things, bro.
FIFA, UEFA, Premier League, FA, they're all
She doesn't
coming
even know
together.
what she doesn't know what he's talking about. She has no idea what he's saying.
They're all trying to stop this league
Yeah.
because it's taking the power away from them and putting the power in the hands of the clubs.
Mm-hmm.
So
Which it should be.
That's why people are saying it should benefit Chelsea, whereas we don't know who else it benefits the other way around.
Yeah, one sec. Let's get a few of the other people's opinions. Zion, what are you saying, man? I haven't heard from you so far. Talk to me. What's your thoughts on the whole situation?
I think it's a disgrace. Let's be real. I mean, to be honest, it's a slap in the face to football because you know what? I know money is everything in football right now. I think without money, you ain't gonna get anything. Let's be real. So owners are doing this for a reason, but for fans who love the sport and have a history of watching all this kind of stuff, it's just a slap in their face. What's the point of having all this all these trophies, all these historic moments in front of fans? What's the point? You may as well should have done that at the start. You may as well have done that at the start if you're going to do this. These new owners who have come through and everything, it's ruining. You got VAR ruining football. You got refereeing decisions. Now you got this shit coming up. Absolute disgrace. And I think what, if this does go about, I'd rather watch another team play right now who are not in this because I don't really agree with this, and I will never.
Well, I feel sorry for you because it's going to happen.
It's so sad.
I do. I mean, I'm sorry.
then we're not fans of the club. Then we're just fans of money.
No, we're
That's
not.
not true. We don't care about. We don't care. We don't care about Chelsea. No, we don't care about Chelsea.
Where were you when we signed? When we used 250 million this summer? I'm confused. Like, well, what is going on? We spent.
You're trying to say
this summer.
we're not getting enough money from the Premier League and the Champions League revenue.
Hold on, real quick.
We want more money.
We spent 250 million this summer, and Bayern Munich went out and bought Leroy Sané and said they could not buy anyone else because they're broke, right? And are you saying that's fair?
Bro, our case was different. Bro.
You have to
our
think.
case
You have
was
to think.
different.
You
Bro.
have
We sold Eden Hazard. We had that money. We sold Hazard. We sold Morata. We made a profit.
You have
exactly,
to
but it was
also think about the amount of fans that are coming in the week in, week out, match week every weekend on the hardest time because of their jobs, their livelihood, everything.
I agree.
Everything.
I agree with that.
Everything that people have been committing, supporting this club for a long time. Who got that season ticket, like me, Lewis, and everyone that has been watching Chelsea for a long time. You have to think from that perspective as well. What's going to happen to their fans in the future?
Listen, the Premier League and FA will get their money. This is all to do with the money. Super League will pay them.
How I see
and
it, there's
everything
no
will
way.
be normal.
There's no way to
It
balance
has
it,
happened
man.
before, twice,
Kind of let Hunter
and this
speak,
is
man.
nothing new.
Alright, there's no way to balance it. That's the thing.
Average ticket about 35 quid.
You can't let the small teams get enough money and the big teams get even more money than what they have now. Like there's no proper way to make everyone happy. So I just feel like going into this thing, it's inevitable, man. It's inevitable.
And pattern will change. As more teams will be allowed to join the big league.
I want to address this too. There's two different perspectives to this. Like, there's super chat from Fancy PGA, and he's saying Jester and Dag are both laughable fans. This is the thing I want to address, and it's that this is what's also causing the biggest debate too, is that you're dealing with match-going fans versus non-match going fans. And with that, you're going to have two different perspectives here. Non-match going fans are looking at it from a purely financial standpoint because I'm not going to say you don't have the emotional attachment because you're fans of the club, you support them, you do have an emotional attachment. But I feel like it's felt differently to match-going fans because they put the travel time into it as well. They put the money in for the tickets and everything. So they feel like this is a personal slap to themselves as well. I only want to highlight this because I would not say in any sense that they're laughable fans. I see this as you guys look at it from a completely different perspective to match-going fans. And this is also why there's also such a big clash between match-going fans and non-match-going fans because the viewpoint is just so completely different from one to the other. And it's not even to say that either is wrong. It's just you see it from different perspectives, so you have different features from it. Match-going fans are a lot more emotional because they put a lot more money into it. And so
if this fails,
they invest more time.
Like we're owed a lot more as well.
I don't know about Jester, but speaking for myself, I really don't care what the comments say because if you look at it, right, if we're supporting Chelsea, no matter what, how are we fake fans? So I really
because listen,
okay,
dog Maui.
Wait, let him finish.
Listen, because at the start of the argument, you said you don't care about EPL, you care about Chelsea. That rubbed people in the wrong way when you say that. When you say that you don't care about EPL and you care about Chelsea, I mean, that doesn't sound nice, does it?
It really
No, I
doesn't.
don't care. Again, I simply don't care.
Nice, man. Just being about
I simply don't. Do you think I care?
How can you be Chelsea fan if you don't care about EPL?
Do you think I care if Arsenal win? Do you think I care if Tottenham win? Do you think I care if Manchester United win?
I would care. I would care.
If I'm Chelsea fan, I would care about EPL.
Dag, if you lived in England, you would probably have a different perspective, bro.
Like, I'm confused. Hold on. No. Let me take it a step further. Let me take it a step further. I asked earlier, how much does an average ticket cost to go to the game? To go to a game?
A Premier League game, it costs 52 quid for an adult to go to a game at Stamford Bridge, and that's just on membership.
Okay, so that's $52, right? That's or 52 pounds. That's 71 American dollars. Okay, the cheapest for a sporting ticket in America, the cheapest you are going to find it for an NBA or NFL game is $150.
Correct.
Jesus Christ.
So the fact of the matter is,
no.
the prices are already expensive here. So I understand the whole let's not make it more expensive for you guys. But the thing is, the way the league is going, the amount of money that's already being made, it's only going to go up, either
Yeah,
or.
but guys,
That's the thing.
With you and a bit of an American people, it is all about communist hierarchy, being aggressive, being straight to the point. It's all about money. It's not
Bruh.
for English fan. It's not about the money. It's about emotion.
Look at this politician now, man.
Why should
Come on.
Why should English fan
Politician.
be
Calm down,
emotional to give up because you are more into money?
But
Why
Dag,
should we
Dag,
change
I
for
think-
you guys?
I think with that point,
Hashtag casual
you've
foul.
almost hit the nail on the head, for example, because like to go to an NFL game, there's how many teams in the NFL? What, 32 teams?
Man's expected
Right?
basketball.
So there's 32 franchises in the NFL, right? Outside of that, there's no like other league that is really respected apart from the college leagues. And
I mean,
I remember there was
the word respected is important there, but there are different leagues.
exactly.
BJ says again, wasting my money to say that the Super League proposal is not a replacement to the Champions League, but it means leaving the Premier League.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying, bro.
I don't think we won't get kicked out of the Premier League because that's such a bad move on the Premier League's part in itself to even do that. Like, I understand the worry behind
We don't
it.
know now. We don't know now.
We
We don't
don't
know.
know.
We don't
We
know.
don't know, man. He might get kicked out, bro.
When I say
What's the Premier League gonna do in terms of marketability and TV money if it loses 5 out of the top 6? If someone can give me a good answer to the question, then I understand why we'd get kicked out of the Premier League. I don't think someone can give me an answer for that because it's not going to be a positive answer for the Premier League if they do that.
No way.
I don't think it's a question of marketability. That's the thing. I think it's a
Go on,
question of
talk to me, Scott. What are you
I think
saying?
it's a question of PR, to be honest, because I think I fully back the other FAs in this, the Italian and the Spanish FAs and UEFA, to follow through. If we're the only FA that doesn't, it puts a bad light on us. In terms of this whole situation, I put a comment in the thing a little bit earlier saying I never thought I'd agree with Gary Neville on something as much as I do this. I think it's a joke.
9:30 as well, so this should be out by now.
I think it's a complete joke. I'd have some level of understanding to this if it was an actual Super League, but it's not. It's not. It's not the best teams. You've got Arsenal, shouldn't be in it. Just flat out shouldn't be in it. I'm not hearing that. I'm talking about right now. Right now, what they're doing. Tottenham shouldn't be in it.
Kaz, let him finish.
Tottenham shouldn't be in it. Arsenal shouldn't be in it. AC Milan shouldn't be in it. There's an argument Inter shouldn't be in it. There's even an argument Juve shouldn't be in it.
Facts.
That's 5 out of the 12 teams.
Yeah.
Advertisement project is always an advertisement.
Can you let Scott speak? Can you let Scott speak, man? Just let someone speak, man.
Let Scott finish.
Go on, Scott, finish.
Lewis,
Scott,
you just
finish.
mute the man. It's classic. Just mute them.
You could even make the argument that because they won a league title in the last few years, Dortmund have a chance of getting in. They're not in it. It's not a Super League. It's, as the guy said a minute ago, it's simply a franchise league. I've seen a comment or something. It's franchise. It's not super. There's nothing about it. It's a joke. This is done for money, simply for money, and that's the thing. And I think all this does, I think this paints the owners of Bayern Munich, as much as I hate them for other reasons, paints the owners of Bayern Munich and it paints the owners of PSG in fantastic lights that they've not gone through with this. I think that
that's not true.
I can't
have gone.
That's not true.
It's been reported. It's been reported. Okay, I saw the report that Bayern Munich, PSG, and Dortmund will be a part of this league if it comes off.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's been reported both sides though. It's been reported that they're not in it, and it's also been reported that they're not.
The report.
So we can only we can only go with the confirmed teams, and those are the 6 Premier League clubs.
The report I saw that it was the 6 Premier League clubs, the 3 Italian teams, and the 3 Spanish teams.
Now
that's the report I saw.
1992 same happened. There was no EPL team. EPL team boycotted, and next year they signed up. So it's not a big deal.
But I just think it's a joke. I think just something I didn't think about until I heard it more brought up is just that in terms of the match going fans, is some of the best parts of seasons is going to the away days. Is going to a Liverpool away where it's genuinely an amazing city to go and see, and it's a great game to go to, either the Everton game or the Liverpool game. It's going to Leeds away. I know we haven't had that this season, but it's going to places like that. It's going to Newcastle away and experiencing that. It's going to I don't know. Brighton's a nice enough place to go to.
That's still going to happen.
I'm not going to Spain, man.
Hundreds of pounds to go to Spain, to go to Madrid for one game.
What the hell?
I'm not going to do this.
It does not take the place of the Premier League. It takes the place for those teams for Champions League football.
This is only
also
in competition with Champions League. Nothing to do with Premier League. Nothing to do with local FA Cups or Carling Cups. It has nothing to do with it.
I don't understand what you're saying.
It will do. Eventually, it will do because, as I said at the start, I fully expect all the organisations, UEFA, the Spanish FA, the Italian FA, the English FA, to go through with what they've said.
Well,
I fully expect that to happen.
It will be okay.
Yeah, but Jasper, they said that they're changing the format. They said they're changing the format of the Champions League as well. I heard that, so I don't know.
That's on Monday.
I don't know.
Put that announcement.
I don't know, man.
So
that in itself, I don't understand why they want to add 100 more matches.
Money.
Haven't already had these injured, ridiculed
money.
There's no need for 100 more matches.
Money.
It's money, and that's the whole point. This hasn't been done.
Money oriented.
Isn't that the same thing?
This
They at least lost a lot of money.
Well, it's whether the money goes to UEFA or if it goes to your clubs. I don't understand where the argument is with that.
Because it's not going to clubs. It will go to the owners. We just happen to have an owner that likes to spend money. For the Uniteds, for the Arsenals, for the Tottenhams, for the even Juves, for the whoever, they won't get this money. They won't see this money because it goes to the owners.
You think Stan Kroenke is going to invest in Arsenal? You think Stan Kroenke is going to invest in Arsenal? He's had like 6 years. I've seen him in 6 years. I've seen this guy 6 years in what's called with Arsenal. This guy barely investment. The reason why they're in this state, they went from playing with the likes of what's called Aaron Ramsey, what's called Sanchez, and Ozil in the midfield, to going to freaking Xhaka and El Neni. He watched it like he went for a 5-year process. They went downhill. They're not he ain't investing nothing in Arsenal.
Well, he's building.
That's not to do with money. I don't think. But
that's to do with managers.
Yeah,
like
managers,
like
owners,
like
owners,
the clubs are too shy to sack their managers. They're not willing to sack Ole. They're not willing to sack Arteta. That has nothing to do with American investment. Glazers have invested more than 300 million. So it has nothing to do with investments. And I think American investors are actually very open-hearted. They do invest. So listen, we cannot scrutinize Super League right now. Listen, we cannot do it. It can only happen after it is there. Like what they do after 1 year. Like do they include teams from the Premier League who are going to be qualifying, or do they just keep Arsenal all the time?
Yeah,
that's the talking point after the first season. You cannot scrutinize Super League right now.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the only announcement that's come out, and I think all it's saying is the ECA isn't opposed to it. I'll be real, you can try and read through it. It's an absolute load of waffle. But other than that, they're just saying they disagree with the Super League, and I don't even think this is the actual Super League announcement. So I think that one's just been a false alarm. We're at nearly 20-10, and we still haven't heard anything from anyone yet.
Okay,
so I don't know if it's actually a developing thing, or does it actually look more like this is just a push to try and get UEFA to change their idea to move to the Swiss model in 2024? Because it could be one or two things. Super League could actually be happening, or this could just be a ploy to try and get UEFA to change their minds.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible?
Listen, there's a conversation going on in England that currently English teams are playing too much league titles, FA Cups. So even if it does cover League Cup, right? There's already a problem going on in England that we are playing too many games. The teams are playing too many local games like Carling Cups. I don't know what else, FA Cups and stuff. So I don't think that's a major issue, to be honest. Having Superliga for Champions League and for your local Carling Cup, I think it's a good deal, to be honest. It's not that bad.
The fantasy PGA Tour. I think he's wasting his money at this point.
Yeah,
it's
because
replacing the domestic league.
Yes, it is.
Yep.
Yes, it is.
No, it is not.
It is.
It's not.
The report I saw earlier, because I had a little look, said that the teams have to speak to FA, and if they refuse, they would have to break away from the league. They have to break away from the league to do this.
Yeah,
let me tell you how this is going to go down.
But I'm thinking that the FA realistically will not be able to ban them. because all the money that they already get is from
No,
those.
it's not banning it. They'd ban them from joining the league, and so they'd have to break away. So in that
Okay,
case,
are
it
people
would
saying
basically-
Kenny
I
party
think
now?
that's just a bluff. I think it's just a bluff. I think they're just bluffing.
I really
There's
I
don't.
don't think so.
But
I don't think
who-
they're bluffing.
No.
Making a threat like that.
But who's in the position to bluff though? That's the question. Who holds more
Facts.
leverage? All of these teams, when they know they've got a large amount of fan bases and they're in all of these different competitions with FIFA, with UEFA, with the Premier League, with the FA, are they going to sacrifice all of that and then go and join this Super League? Are they going to do that?
I don't
At the
think the Prem
behest
is
of maybe
bluffing,
their
man. I don't
whole
think the
fan
Prem is
base?
bluffing, man. The Prem they're not dumb, man. They know how much money the Big
That's what
Six
I was
makes
sa-
them.
That's
They're
what I
not
was saying
dumb,
at the
man.
beginning. Both sides are calling each other's bluff, and there's no way to say who's going to win and who's not, because who has more leverage? You could argue all of the sporting bodies that are clubbing together have more leverage than this Super League. Do you know what I mean?
They do, because the TV revenue is based on these clubs and these leagues. Sorry, if you think that in America we have NBC that shows these games, if you think NBC made a bid based on seeing West Ham and Everton and Wolves every week, you're dreaming. You have something mentally wrong with you.
Because they
If
don't
the
even
top-
show those games on there. They don't
if the
listen.
top-
I don't know if y'all know about this, but NBC, right, which is the leading Premier League coverage in here at America, they created an entire subscription plan to support the lower teams like Burnley and Southampton and all of them. They don't even get the top viewage spot.
Yeah.
So how are you going to say that they're still going to kick them out?
But I think
But Dag, hear me out though. Hear me out. If that NBC contract was drawn up in the 80s, Everton were the champions of English football, and they would be in that list. Now time has gone on. Exactly, Everton are no longer relevant. And if you've created a new Super League and there's no way for those teams to join, what's going to happen to the quality of the league? You have a team like Arsenal. Wait, hold on. You have a team like Arsenal who have finished below Leicester for the past 2 seasons, but because of the stature of the club, they're in the Super League with Tottenham above those teams.
I'll be real.
Hold on, real quick. You've been here since the start. Hold on, Oscar. You've been here since the start. I already told you. I don't support this 15 teams. They don't get relegated. I don't support that. That's the only thing I have a big problem with. You're 100% right. Arsenal should not be in there. Tottenham should not be in there. Leicester should, because they have been consistently top 4, top 5. So Leicester
Milan.
should.
AC
So I
Milan as well,
understand what
man.
you mean by that. But the whole thing that this entire thing is terrible for football, I don't think so.
I do think it's terrible for football. For me, it's called. Saying it's a Super League. There's nothing super about Tottenham. There's nothing super about what's called.
That's just
about
branding,
Arsenal.
though. That's just branding.
It is branding. I would say
Champions League isn't champions. You know what I
I
mean?
would say it's terrible for football, because if you're a fan of football, you're just a fan of watching good football. And I think that the biggest thing with this is that, say for example, let's just say that the Premier League carries on and this is just a new thing or whatever. All it's going to be every single year for the Premier League is the same 6 teams in the top 6 just challenging. All it is. You're
That's
never
what it
going to
is
see a
now.
Leicester challenging. You're never going to see a Southampton maybe push, or a West Ham maybe push for top 4. You're never going to see an Everton push. You're never going to see, I don't know, the occasional Sheffield United beating Manchester United. You're never going to see, I don't know, Fulham taking Arsenal to a 1-1 draw or beating Liverpool. You're never going to see it, because the comparisons, or the what's the word, the gaps in between, like the discrepancies between the talent because of the money pumped into these teams and into the bottom teams, it's not going to be comparable.
That's facts. That's
People
facts.
want to talk about. I just talked about the TV package. The big clubs are the reason like why it's so big. They get the most money out of the TV packages because they're the most featured teams. The teams down the bottom don't get that much.
So what
all
about
it
the
does is
reports?
create
What
massive
about the reports that
discrepancies.
Newcastle were going to be purchased by whatever his name was, the Crown Prince of Saudi, right? What if in this instance, coming on later into the future, right? More and more teams decide, okay, if we want to challenge like the Liverpools, like the Chelseas, like the Manchester Uniteds, we need to start looking for investors as well. So they start putting themselves on the market and get investors as well. Can't they go ahead and follow the same business plan that's already?
It's not about investors have got to be interested.
Of course.
There's nothing in 2 years' time. There's nothing interesting about going and buying Burnley when they're struggling to stay in the Premier League every year because they're getting smashed 10-0 by the top 6, and they're
League
not getting any money in.
Chelsea. Chelsea was a 5th, 6th club and that was bought by Roman Ibrahimovic. City
Burnley
was
are
a championship
20th.
club,
Burnley are 20th,
so
man.
it's not a
What's
big deal,
called
to be honest.
Chelsea were like 6th place here. We had good players, man. Before Roman
Listen,
came, man. Like we had
Dog,
likes
you
of
have
Gianfranco
a point
Zola. What's it
that
called? Hasselbank. We would get CL football once in a while, maybe not as much, but we were tops. We weren't exactly like bottom of the league, bottom of the barrel, man. Come on, stop that. We're
listen,
not Burnley, man. Playing the likes
club
of
in
Woodley,
England,
having
the clubs
Woodley in our team,
in
man.
England, like Leeds United, Leicester City, and other clubs, they would get investors in.
Wait, hold on,
Investors
guys.
would
I
be
have a
interested.
question though. I have a question.
Sorry, man.
Guys.
Abramovich, guys, not Ibrahimovic.
I have a
Abramovich.
question.
My bad.
I have a
Said
question
that
for
wrong.
Lewis. I have a
My
question for
God.
Lewis.
That
I
was
have
You
a
didn't
question.
say Roman Ibrahimovic, did you? On my life.
Gone,
Yeah, I
gone,
did. I said it. I said it. There's a
We're
guy in the
gone,
comment that
Tyrese.
just called me up for
We're,
that, man.
I got
Shit.
gone.
I got a question for Lewis or and then I'll get into Dag, right? Lewis,
Go on.
like as Scott just said, he thinks more than likely, as what Scott is saying, and what I think as well, it's going to replace the domestic league because the Premier League said more than likely you're going to have to break away from the Premier League. So I want to ask you, Lewis, when you went to I don't know, Ajax away last season, how much money did it cost to go to Amsterdam? How much money it cost for a UEFA Champions League ticket in general?
Like I'll say I spent about 80 quid or 90 on travel, but then there's Amsterdam and shit, so probably add another 200, 300 to that.
That's
Like literally
What?
means
Coffee
Like-
shop tour all day, you ready? No.
no,
So,
Lewis,
like, we
literally
can't really
stop-
throw
stop being
Amsterdam
too
into this.
places and
Lille,
things
like,
as
I
well.
spent about 60, 70 quid because I just got a coach down. But to be
Okay.
fair, last season we got really favourable away trips. Like, it was Spain, it was Holland, it was France, very close to England.
Right, but
So
what
that
I'm
was pretty
saying
better
is
off
like,
for us.
if this replaces the Premier League and you have to travel y'all have to travel all over Europe, that's going to be really, really expensive. But then eventually they're going to realize they're not making a profit from it because not everyone could afford to do that. Like how people could afford to travel from London to Newcastle, some people could afford to do that. The average fan has enough money could afford to do that, but no one could afford to travel to London to Paris every week. No one could afford to do that. It's going to be difficult. And if this doesn't work, and this whole Super League thing goes bankrupt and they fail, and these clubs have to run back to the Premier League, and the Premier says no, they're going to take. Then what's going to happen? You're going to have to liquidate the top 6 clubs because if you're not playing in the domestic league, what are you going to do?
I feel this is the problem because it will shit on fans. And the
Why-
club
why-
would
why do you
find a
think-
way to work on it because we have club travel for away games. And if they gave more money, if they were morally correct, they could use some of that money to make cheaper travel for fans. And that would be a viable alternative that would make it work. It's just, I
That's the
don't
thing.
really have the confidence in Chelsea to do that anyway. And I think especially with the fact that we've been looking for a new stadium as
Roman's gonna
well,
buy him
and with the
himself.
amount of money that we're trying to pump into a new stadium, with the fact that we're also not really making as much in terms of match day revenue because of how small our stadium is. I don't know if we would initially get that until we get the new stadium first. But I feel like Chelsea could make it a lot easier for fans by making cheaper travel for them.
Every
It would
club,
be in their
every club
hands to
could.
do it. I just don't trust them to do it.
Also, I
Okay.
think the thing is that I think is being overlooked is there's no because this is from reports being done and owned by the owners of these clubs. There's no guarantee these games get played where these teams are based. There's every guarantee there's games out in America, in Dubai, Australia.
Yes, facts. They're going to be in Dubai and
Bro,
Saudi
I'm
Arabia,
not
man.
paying $2,000 or whatever it is to go to fucking Australia to watch a 0-0 between Chelsea and Arsenal that I could fucking watch for 50 quid here in England. Like, that's
people
gonna
think-
cost me
Watch your
$2,000
It's going to
or
happen in
whatever
Dubai. It's going to be
to
happening
watch
in the Middle East,
in
man.
another
It will happen.
country.
You need to accept that there's a very, very massive fan base of these clubs in Australia, India, United States of America. So you're actually targeting a bigger market.
They're not doing it for fan base. They're doing it for money, bro. They're doing it in the Middle East for money, bro.
It's not
Stop
for
it.
fans.
It's
The
not for
reason that
fans.
you're doing this is to
You cannot be
increase your.
selfish about just like, oh, Chelsea have
Kazrev,
fans in London.
Kazrev,
We've
why
got
do you think
fans everywhere.
Kazrev, why do you think the boxing fights happen in the Middle East, man? Most of the money, there's a lot of money in the Middle East, man. Like you go there for money. Like
Doesn't happen in
they're not
the
for a
Middle East.
fan base.
Happens in Vegas.
It happens in Vegas.
No.
It happens in Vegas.
It
You don't.
happens in Saudi Arabia.
Wait,
as well.
boxing
Yeah,
fights.
there's fights in Saudi Arabia.
Saudi
There's fights in
Arabia.
all
This
these
Right.
is
places.
Saudi Arabia and Dubai.
UFC is
No,
literally.
No.
before COVID. Before COVID.
Louis-
Anthony
Louis
Joshua,
Joshua
Anthony Joshua's
happened-
fights.
Bro, the
Anthony
Saudis
Joshua.
have that money, baby.
Exactly,
Like,
Anthony
they be
Joshua.
making it rain.
Why?
It's AJ invest
Like,
AJ versus Ruiz too.
But
Where
that
was
was-
that? In the Middle East.
yeah, that was in Saudi Arabia as
But
well. For
Saudi
those who watch
Arabia.
WWE,
Facts.
why do you
Yeah.
think WWE are
Super
doing
showdown.
shows in Saudi Arabia? It's because of
Money.
the money. It's because
So the
of how
money,
much
man.
money's involved.
Ching ching.
And
Bro,
the fan
you're gonna
base.
put so many games in the Middle East, in the UAE or Saudi Arabia, Qatar,
There's a World Cup
wherever.
in Qatar. Yeah, it's all a money thing.
It's money.
Again,
That's the problem. I'd have less of a problem with
Just
this
had a
if
stinker
it
right
was
there,
sort of- if this was for footballing reasons, if this was done to enhance the level of the game or to, I don't know, to bring about more competition. It's not. It's money and nothing else. It's purely money, and not money to better the teams, to, you know, give back to the fans. It's money to put into the pockets of the owners. As I said before, we're
But
lucky
in return, there would be a bigger chunk. This would get a bigger chunk also back. The Premier League teams would get the bigger chunk back too.
Says who?
Who?
Listen,
They
They won't if those clubs ain't in the Premier League no more.
Are you genuinely telling me that the Glazers are going to see the money they get and go, yeah, we'll invest that in Manchester United? They're more likely to invest it in the Buccaneers, for fuck's sake.
That doesn't work that way. You guys have this notion that these owners take money from one sports team and put them in the other. There's actually a salary cap in the NFL, and it's based on revenue in the NFL. So that's a stupid argument made by people who don't understand.
Can I speak? Can I speak? Can I speak, please?
Wait,
Listen,
what?
yeah. Back in 2000,
I'm one of two Americans. Don't give me any of that crap.
One at a time, guys.
I mean, what did Newcastle boss did? What is he doing?
Oh man, Kaiser, please just
The best.
What were you talking about,
The best run clubs in England are run by Russians, Americans, Thailand, and other countries. And the worst run clubs, for example, Leeds United, went into liquidation, and now Newcastle.
What I thought he was going to say is the fact that someone like Mike Ashley will siphon money out of Newcastle and put it into Sports Direct.
Yeah.
So it might not be another
the-
sports team, but it's like it's somewhere else.
No,
my point on the American football thing is not necessarily that they can do that, because I don't know the American football rules and how it works. But my point was that this, as I said,
He's not
we're lucky
American.
with Abramovich's owner, because he will invest in us as a team, but Kroenke won't for Arsenal, and the
won't.
Glazers
He
won't
won't.
for United. And there's no guarantee the Juve, I don't know what the Juve owner is, there's no guarantee he will. AC Milan at the minute aren't investing massive money at the minute in their club. The owners, like, there's no guarantee that just because they get this money, it's invested. And as soon as it isn't, and it's just going into their pockets, regardless of where else it goes, as soon as it goes into their pockets and the clubs don't see it, there's no improvement, there's no big signings, none of this, like, oh, it's gonna propel us into the stratosphere in terms of eyes on. It's not, because it just stagnates, because you've got the same players, maybe a few changes here and there, but it just stagnates constantly because there's no change, because there's no investment going into clubs.
So you know this for a fact that this money will not be spent on these clubs.
It's
No
run,
play-
it's run by the owners. It's run by the owners of the clubs.
I know that. I know how it works.
So it's not going to go to clubs.
Can
It'll
I
go to
speak?
the owners.
Can I just say something real quick? Yeah.
You know that for a fact.
I can. Yeah, I have a fairly high.
Fact.
I wouldn't say I know it for a fact. I have a high probability that it will happen.
What if they put in there that a percentage of that money has to be spent on transfer fees and player salaries?
Depends
Would
how
that
big a
change
fee
your
we're
mind?
talking.
Huh?
Depends how big a fee we're talking. If we're talking nothing, I'm talking minimum of 50%.
Let Scott finish, man.
With how much money is supposedly going to come as a result of this league, I'm looking at 50% I want invested in my club. Otherwise, there's no point.
Yeah, I agree with Scott. 50%.
What if that was in there? Let's say it's
If it's in
350.
there, then I'm starting to come around. But as far as I've read, nothing so far. All of the stuff I've read, nothing is about the percentage.
50%. They would never put 50% though.
Nothing.
They haven't done it for the last 6 years. They won't do it
Why
now,
would
man.
they not include that if it's something that they know or if they've thought about? Why would they not straight up say that?
All the details aren't out yet. Number one, and I'm not saying it's going to happen, but apparently it's going to be 350 mil a year for these 15 clubs. Okay. we have an owner that will use a large portion of that money to win, right?
Yes, I said that. We're
Okay.
lucky we have Abramovich.
If you're telling a billionaire that's looking to buy a club, let's just say some of these clubs get sold, and we're going to give you $350 million guaranteed. Most billionaires do not like to lose, number one, money or in competition. That's why they're billionaires, because they don't lose money and they don't like to lose competition. Okay, I know billionaires, so I can tell you for a fact, they don't like to lose. That's why most of them are where they are. Some of them have family money, yes, but a lot of them are self-made. And a self-made billionaire does not want to lose, period, in anything he does. Second point is the English Football League, the EPL, will not exist if they ban the top 6 clubs. Those top 6 clubs are not there because of ranking. They're there because of the money they bring in.
Brand.
Absolutely, but brand is money.
Jester, do you really think that Gary Neville, that is going to go live on Sky Sports to get on like that, like get very angry? I've never seen Gary Neville that angry before. To get that angry for a competition that is basically similar to the Champions League, replacing the Champions League just with all the top 6 clubs. Do you think he's going to get that angry? No, he won't.
Yes.
Bro, the thing that, like I said in the beginning, the thing that is angering people the most is the private members.
Get so angry over. I think that video was at 7.5 minutes. So go and get that angry for 6 teams being in the Champions League instead of 4. Do you think he cares that much?
Yes.
He would care that much.
Look at all the people who care in the comments. Look at all the people who care on here. Yes.
To replace the domestic man, the domestic leagues. It's fair to say so. That you're American. I don't know if you live in England. I don't know. You don't live in England.
Why did you keep mentioning where he lives from?
Hold on. What I'm trying to say is that these are match-going fans that could drive from, that could go. I'd rather go and play against Crystal Palace, which is not that far away. A short drive from that. They're all in London. You don't want to be traveling to Spain and France and Germany every single week, bro. It's replacing the domestic league. If we're out of the Premier League and we're just doing this and it's one big league, we have to travel all over Europe.
That's not happening.
The Premier League is still open, I swear. But I don't.
Oh my God! Can't people get that through their head? The Premier League is still going to happen.
I know the Premier League,
the
we're not going to be in it.
The point.
Yes, we are.
It says that if we participate in this Super League, which the owners are looking to do, we can't.
It's a negotiation tactic, bro. There's not going to do that. It doesn't make any sense to the Premier League.
Lewis, I don't think the Premier League are that dumb to make a bluff like that, man. Like, I truly do believe. I know.
It is a bluff, though. Like, they wouldn't be so dumb as to kick 5 of the top 6 out. That would be even dumber.
You were born yesterday.
There's no way it would happen.
There's a difference. Hold on. There's a difference. There's a difference between teams like, for me, especially, right? I think there's a big difference between, especially like the Spanish teams, the Serie A teams, and we have 6 teams in this. It's not 2 teams like the Spanish team or 3 with the Italian league. This is damn nearly half of the revenue of the entire Premier League that's going to be banned. I don't think they're going to be able to do that. And hold on, on top of that, I'm sorry, but on top of that, all these comments about how me and Jester don't understand the tradition of football. You need to understand that we are in a pandemic right now. After this, tickets aren't going to be cheaper. They need to make back the money that they lost. Tickets aren't going to be cheaper. So this entire thing about how this Super League is just going to ruin it and is going to exponentially increase the price of this, the prices are still going to be rising.
So the price.
How do you know? How do you know?
They need to make it back.
I don't know about
they
that.
lost my whole
I'll be real, guys. Wait. Before the pandemic was even happening, we were expecting ticket prices to go up anyway because we have a massively small stadium for the club that we have. So
And
we're
whose
already
fault's that?
expecting ticket prices to go up. Chelsea already added a £2 disclosure fee. A £2 disclosure fee to tickets already, solely for the reason to add profits. There was no any specific reason behind it. So if we're going to talk about tickets going up, regardless of the Super League or the pandemic, ticket prices were going to go up anyway. Like I was already anticipating season ticket prices going up for next season. So I don't expect this to add to it anyway.
Whose fault was
Also,
it that?
as I said,
whose fault?
I will guarantee, and you can quote me this, I guarantee that at least some, maybe not all, maybe not most, but some of these games will be in other countries, not where these countries are based. So then all of a sudden, are you gonna go and let's say you're going to Qatar? Are you gonna make ticket prices the equivalent of £30? No, they're going to be upwards of £100 at least. To make sure
Scott, you're saying
£300, yeah.
So you're
Plus
saying
it's
that I
not
might
going
get to
to
see
buy.
Chelsea play right up the road from me?
You might.
Is that what you're saying?
You might.
Sign me up.
Sign me up.
You might.
Why
You
am I?
might. You might.
Why
You
am I
might,
saying
though.
that?
You guys might.
As well. Like, I
Why does
understand
the
how
fan base
background
have to
fans
be
are going to
only
be
in
fuming
England?
with that, but
Because
they're
we're an
gonna be
English club.
fuming with
We're an
that.
English club,
never said
man.
only have
That's
to
why.
be
We're an
there.
English
This is
club.
one thing as well.
We're an English club,
You
man.
need to
I'm sorry to hurt your
understand.
feelings. We're an English club.
Guys,
It's gonna be in
one at a
England.
time.
We're an English club. It's gonna be in England, man. I'm sorry. Like it might
You're
hurt your
not an
feelings.
English
We're an
club.
English.
You're not an
What do you
English
mean?
club. You're a
We're based in
worldwide club
England.
now, and you're owned by a Russian. How is that English?
It's an
No,
English
we're
club.
based.
How
It's an
can you
English
say
club, man.
English
Come on, man.
club?
Don't start that, man.
What is
We're an
that?
English club, man. Don't try that, man.
What is that?
We're an English club. We're based in England.
You know what? This is the worst part. It's an
That's
English
big.
club, and we have to say that as a fact. But the fact is now as well, Chelsea is supported worldwide. Chelsea
It
and
is.
whether and this is the thing I've said so many times with match going fans too. As much as you can hate it, you gotta accept it, man. This is the part. This is the part of
Well, Lewis,
Chelsea
it's not for
growing up
fans.
and becoming one of the biggest clubs in the world. We are now supported worldwide, so which
Yeah.
means now, from a Chelsea perspective,
Lewis.
they now had to advocate for fans worldwide. And
Can I
I'm
say
not
this?
saying
Can I
you
say
have to
this?
agree with it. I'm saying it's there, and that's facts.
Lewis, can I say this here? Do you really think these guys are what's called they're traveling to Dubai and what's called to Middle East, yeah, to do it for fans? They're gonna be charging you like what £300. They're gonna go to a different country, charging like what £300 for tickets, going to Dubai, man. They're not doing it for fans, man. They're doing it what's
You
called
know, as a real
brings
fan,
in the most money.
price.
They're not
It
doing
brings in the
it.
most money.
They are not doing it for match-going fans. That is
No, they're not doing it for
confirmed.
fans. Like, they're
They
not
are
doing it for fans in
that
They're
period.
is
not doing it
They're
for
not doing it
fans.
for fans in
They're
period.
doing it for
They're not
fans
doing it for fans in
regardless.
No,
period.
because fans are worldwide. Fans are worldwide.
no,
Whether you
There
like
are barely
it or
any
not, they are.
fans in the.
Lewis, I get that, but I'm saying
No.
I say the fact that Dag or Jester, or if we have an Australian fan that comes on, or an Indonesian fan or whatever, the fact they can go to games is an add-on. They're not doing this for that reason. They're doing this
Add-on,
because it
man.
creates revenue
It's like
into the club,
secondary
or not into the club, in their
Yeah.
pockets.
I'm
That's what
fine
it
with
comes
that
from.
as
The
long
fact
as I
that
can see my
Dag, as I
team
said, Dag
play.
and Jester get to go is great for them on a personal level. It's great for them. It will cost them half of their life savings, but it's
You
great
don't know
for them.
that.
It's a secondary
Oh,
point, man.
God,
It's
Jack,
not the
I
main
don't
point.
see
They're not
that.
thinking about, oh
You
yeah,
don't know that.
Is it my club that I support? Like I don't understand bro. It's really confusing me because are we not diehard fans of this club?
Yeah, they are.
you are diehard fan.
What do diehard fans do?
So,
Bro,
so are you
I've
gonna
never-
say we get to the Champions League? Hang on. Say we get to the Champions League final. Are you going to that game?
I can't.
Say that again.
If we get to the
Can't.
Champions League final, are
They
you
can't
going to that
do
game?
COVID rules, man.
I'm sorry, but
Depends on if I can afford it. Yes, but I know I'm going to watch it live.
it.
But I
I
didn't say
can't.
that. I said you going to the game because you just said I'm a diehard.
I said
fan
if I
to
can
go to
afford
the
it,
game.
yes, I will. Yeah.
Cool. That's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
problem
affording
that
that shit,
every
man. Come
fan
on.
that's not from the other countries has as well. Is
Yeah.
that
I've
we
never
can't afford
If you can
that.
afford- if you
Dak
can
knows
afford
well.
it, go.
Damo is not gonna
It's very
afford it, man.
simple to me. If you can afford it, go. If you can't, stay at home and watch it on your TV. Still
I'm
support.
Cool.
I've been a Chelsea fan for many years, and I've never been to Stamford Bridge, bro.
Neither
And
have
these- and these guys, sir, they've been to Stamford Bridge. But the thing is, right, what I'm trying to say is that these are fans that live in a country where the club is based, so they're obviously going to be contributing more than us that watch on. They contribute to the club financially by well in some sort of way. We do contribute by watching live on television in some sort of way. But these guys actually pay money to go and watch these guys play week in and week out. We don't have the privilege to do that because we don't live in England. But That's gonna affect fans, bro. It is going to affect.
That is so true. That is so true. And I'm actually emotionally very much feeling what Scott is going through. But end of the day, it's all about the money. They are hungry for money, and I mean, obviously they can think about, like, obviously the vaccine costs 120 quid. If you want to travel to another country, you have to pay 120 quid for the vaccine now. So probably if Super League can do, like, for English fans, especially for Chelsea fans and Man United fans, they can provide free vaccine or provide something free, that would be helpful. But I'm actually emotionally very touched with Scott. I mean, I can understand it's not good. It's not good news.
Okay, first of all, I can't get the vaccine. Sorry.
I don't want to, man. It's not about I can't.
No, I can't. I actually medically cannot take a vaccine.
Oh, okay.
So, no, I won't be going to Champions League game because of that. Because you have to have the vaccine to get in there.
If you could, would you say
if I could?
World?
Yeah, I would go in a heartbeat. I want to go to London and spend a season in London to watch Chelsea play.
I would love to.
This
You're
is
going to
the
be here
only
for an extended period of time.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would love to do that. But right now, the way things are, that's not going to happen. Okay? Chelsea is the only team I support. I don't watch American baseball anymore. I don't watch American football. I don't watch American basketball. Only team I support is Chelsea. So you can cuss me in the chat. As long as you're putting a like on the video, I really don't care. There's nothing you can say in chat that's gonna faze me anyway.
Because we're gonna be back. We're gonna be back, baby. You're gonna see us again.
So you can say all this nasty stuff. I have 2 ex-wives. There's nothing you can say in chat that I have not already been to my face.
So why am I not
please
surprised?
drop it. I'll run in circles around you.
Facts.
This Justin guy is fun. I like this guy,
So
all in all, I think the biggest outrage about this whole thing is the entry point of this league. Because if it was just a variation on the Champions League, no one would give a toss. No one would care because the Champions League's had changes before and no one really cared. But if you're telling me that the teams can't advance into that higher echelon, then there's clearly a problem with that from a sporting aspect, not like any other reason. You can see it's not about football anymore when it becomes like that. So it's really a no-brainer why people are upset.
I can understand from an entertainment standpoint where the people are coming from, which is fair enough. But like I personally, Barbie, I just want to see a Chelsea game before I die. That's my I rather go and pay, I don't know, 50 quid or I don't know, that's 150 Barbarian dollars to go and watch Chelsea play Arsenal at Stamford Bridge or Emirates, whatever, than to go and pay $400 to go and watch PSG because it's just not affordable. It's not affordable.
Scott, I need to ask you something. If Super League comes into being, right, are there going to be matches in England?
I think there will, but I think there'll be far less. This is my point. I think there will be the games in wherever the clubs are situated in Italy, Spain, England, whatever. Just because I just think that it makes it easier for particularly like the Italian and Spanish clubs. It makes it easier for them in terms of owners just being there and whatever. Because I still think they want to be there to kind of laud this big thing as like as their own creation sort of thing. But I just see it as such there's been talk before of games of like Perez wanting to play games in Dubai, and they tried to get the the Super Copa de España, I think, one season. They tried to get that played in America, and Barcelona flat out just said no, we're not doing that. So yeah, I see this as an opportunity for them to go to countries around the world where they know for a fact they'll get money in, large quantities of money in as well, despite in some instances questionable morals. And yeah, I just see it as a money grabbing opportunity, and I just simply think it's not. I don't like the idea at all. Just with how it's been set up, there's so many ways. The idea could be good, as Oscar said, it could be a success, but there's so many things wrong with it in the minute. and I don't think those things are going to be fixed.
But for that, even though we don't go to Stamford, we go watch Chelsea play live every week. That still affects us because, for example, like if you want to go, for example, go watch Arsenal play Chelsea in regular circumstances, would you rather pay just like $75 to go watch Chelsea play Arsenal in London? Or do you rather pay $400 to go and watch us play at PSG?
Why are you assuming that increases? I don't get it.
Hold on. The thing is, I'd have to pay $1,000 just to take
travel to France. You think that just because of you?
No, that's completely irrelevant. I would have to pay $1,000 to fly out to London. Well, what do you mean?
That's
you. That's a small amount of fans.
No, but guys, regardless, why are you guys assuming that a Super League price costs more than a Champions League price? We play Real Madrid. If this was like a couple seasons ago, they'd be flying to Madrid and playing in the Bernabeu. That ticket would cost a lot. Why are we assuming that a Super League ticket would cost more than that?
I don't think it would be more. I think it's value for money is the thing. Okay. I think that's the thing. I think that's why I asked the Champions League question to Dag and Jester, because I'd pay that money to go to a Champions League final to watch my team play whoever, because you've got to a Champions League final. I don't want to go and just watch a random game where, even if we play a PSG or Real Madrid, where it's just a league game, and it could be a 0-0 and could be a dull game just because neither team are really going for it because it's just a league game. And I think that's the thing. I think it's not necessarily that the price will increase in comparison to the Champions League. It's what you get for that value of money. Right. If I'm going to the Champions League final, I'm making a whole trip of it. I'm making a whole big sort of song and dance by going there for a week or whatever. If I'm going to watch fucking Chelsea play Arsenal in Dubai, I might stay for a day or two because it's Dubai and I want to go there. But bar that, I don't care, because it's Chelsea versus Arsenal and I can watch that for 50 quid. Like in London, that's what I have.
We need Craigo on here. Craigo's in the comments, man.
Craigo, send your link.
Let me ask you a question. If this turns out not to affect Premier League at all, and it just takes the place of UCL, what's your opinion there?
When you say it doesn't affect EPL, in what way? As in
we're not banned from Premier League.
Well, I see a statement saying that. I don't know.
What was the rest of the question? Sorry, I kind of focused on that a bit too much. If that doesn't affect it,
if we're not banned from Premier League and it basically takes the place of Champions League, somebody's got something on. Right?
I think is it the new guy that's just joined?
Yeah, it's the new guy.
Yeah. If you want to switch off your stream, bro, prevent the echo. But thanks for hopping on anyway.
So it's just taking the place of UCL.
Yeah.
So it's just like our UCL every year, but it does not affect Premier League at all. We still play Premier League.
Yeah.
What is your opinion then?
I still think it's bad.
I don't really care
for other reasons. Because I think that, number one, I think that it would, if it was not a league system and it was a tournament system, then I'm coming around a bit more in terms of just to that aspect, like the footballing aspect.
It's a league and tournament that they're proposing.
What, league then tournament?
They're proposing just like the Champions League, like a longer league format and then a sort of like playoff at the end of it.
In terms of just that as a concept I can get behind, if it takes the way over from the Champions League, the other half I can't get behind is what I mentioned before about the discrepancies in team quality in the Premier League. All of a sudden, watching the Premier League becomes a boring slog because it's the same 6 or 5 teams competing for that top 5. It might interchange. City might win the league one year and Liverpool might win it another year. We might win it another year. But the top 5 will never change. It will stay exactly the same because they get such a greater influx of money in comparison to every other team that the other teams just can't compete, and all they're doing is fighting for 6th or 7th.
Why? You just said they won't spend that money on the team, so how does that affect anything?
Because I think some will. So I think City will, obviously. I think we will, obviously. I think Arsenal still will spend money on that team. I just don't think. I think it's going to go more into Kroenkes because we're seeing they spend some money on the team. Like Partey came in, Pepe came in a couple of years ago. We're seeing some level of investment. I don't think it'll be anywhere near what it should be for being in this competition. We should be seeing transfers on the level of Mbappe and Neymar and what Haaland may move for all the time if this league happens to these sorts of teams. But we won't see that. We'll see it, as I said, to a City, to us, to... Actually, I think that's it. Oh, no, to Liverpool as well. because their owner seems fairly nice. But the other three teams, United, Tottenham, and Arsenal, won't see anywhere near the same investment because we're not seeing it at the minute. And United is financially the biggest club in England, but arguably the world, and we're still not seeing the level of investment. And I think in terms of the lower teams, we're already seeing at the minute with the TV deal where they get a lesser amount, they're not investing as much. What Leicester are doing at the minute is amazing considering the quality they've got. Because if you look at the quality of their team, compare it to a Man United, it's worse in terms of player for player. It's just they, as a collective, they are a much better team. Even you look at it with like a Tottenham, I'd argue Tottenham is slightly better if you look at the players they've got. It's just as a collective, Leicester are better as a team. So I just think the discrepancies in the league, it makes league football, just domestic league, a waste of time, just boring.
Yep.
Well, if we listed the last 10 champions of the Premier League, there's only really one standout.
See?
That wasn't, that would be Leicester's win.
But it's not just the winner; it's the whole of the top four race. It's the whole of the Leicester this season. Leicester this season, West Ham this season doesn't happen. It does not happen.
Perfect example is this Tuesday. We're all getting excited to play Brighton because we need to get in the top four. If we're already permanently in the Super League, that Brighton game means absolutely nothing. Who cares?
I don't care. I'm not waking up for that game.
I've said this since the start of the stream. I highly disagree with those 15 teams having permanent, they have that permanent, their slot is already reserved in their competition. Yeah. I highly disagree with that. That should not ever be a thing. But since it's just starting, I understand why they choose the 15 most marketable teams to start. So I would love it if they said for the first 2 to 3 seasons so that the competition can get started, these teams cannot get relegated. But after that, it's whoever wins their league slots into the places that are already available. And then whoever wins the Champions League gets to start over one of the teams that did not do so well. So, I mean, there's multiple there's places where it could get fixed up. This is literally the rough draft. So they're simply just trying to get the idea out there, which is why it's causing so much confusion because we don't have any specificities. We don't have any specific.
When I'm up quickly, if this replaces the Champions League, and it's a bit unfair. Not every single team is going to get a bit repetitive, and that will get me angry. But I won't be as angry as I am right now because if this replaces the Premier League, which is looking like it's going to do, that is what I care about.
I don't think it's going to replace the Premier League. I don't.
Let me make a point anyway. Let me make a point. Yeah. What's exciting about the league this season? Is it the title race or is it the top 4 race?
It's the top 4 race.
Exactly, that goes.
It's not just the top 4 race. It's like you look at it, it's like, can Liverpool start getting back to where they are? Can Arsenal start clawing it back? Can Tottenham start clawing it back? Can West Ham hang on or maybe even push for that number 4? Can Leicester hang on? And that just dies. That dies as soon as this happens. If league football stays as it is, that is. If
go on fantasy because you're going to finish your point. Go for it.
Well, that basically was my point, to be honest. But just as
Craig,
English club, they've made their money for over 100 years, lad.
Hold on, Dag. Let him finish.
Let Craigo go.
I thought he said he already. I said I had a question for Craigo.
Yes, go on.
Damn, I was literally just asking, how does it single-handedly ruin the Premier League?
Of course it does, because the FA will ban teams from playing in it. So hence half the teams are going to be out of it. And then how do you make your team better?
Do you feel like they'll actually go ahead though? Because I really just feel like that's a bluff.
I think this is a load of old shit, to be completely honest with you. And I think this is just a bargaining chip that the Premier League or the Premier League clubs, especially, it will happen all across Europe with the teams that are in it. But the Premier League teams, essentially, are trying to use to go to UEFA to put out a plan on Wednesday. I think
Monday.
Mm-hmm. It's tomorrow.
Okay,
it's
tomorrow. Yeah. Very apt that they now have to change this plan. They now have to change this plan all based on what's happened today. The whole idea is to just use, this is what we've got. This is our chips. Show us what you've got. It's a game of poker. This is all it is.
But I would say as well, just to cut in, that there's no reason for any of the FAs to make the statement they've made for it just to be a bluff. Do you know how fucking stupid you'll look to say that and then not follow through?
Yeah, but do you think the same thing at the clubs?
All credibility.
How do you stop them? What cards do they have to pull? Like,
Yeah,
if
but
you
you just
think
don't
about
say
it, if
it.
they don't pull,
No,
if they
but just
don't pull
don't say
this
it.
card, what do they have? If they
Yeah,
don't
but that's
pull
my
this
point.
card, what do they have?
You'd be better off not saying anything and just letting it happen rather than say this and not follow through. You lose all credibility.
But you're
No,
still
because
trying
they
to
have
stop
to keep their
credibility
It's not
brand.
that you can willingly let it
They
happen.
have to keep their brand. They have to keep what they've got, especially with the English FA. The English FA is the oldest football association in the world. They have to say that we are entitled to protect our product. The product we've got in the Premier League at the moment is great. It's a great product. Let me rephrase that. The whole of English football is a great product. It works. Could it be better? Yes, it could. Yes, it could completely. I mean, just as you'll know, you're in America. I watch a lot of American sports. Streaming services, big ways, big thing in the NFL recently. I watch my NFL games and NFL content via a streaming service. Is it something the Premier League could do? Hell fucking yes, it is.
They do in
Have the
America.
Premier League, have Sky Sports, have BT
Exactly.
Sports got the interest in actually doing it? No. This is the difference. So this is essentially the Premier League clubs going right now, well, this is what we're going to potentially have on offer. This is what we're potentially going to do. And then all of a sudden, it now makes the Premier League, the FA, UEFA, all these different governing bodies from around Europe go, fuck, what are we going to do? That's all it is. It's just a case of, oh, well, we've got this, so we're going to go there. It's essentially, you know, like if you open up two coffee shops, let's just say that for argument's sake. You open up two coffee shops next to each other, and on the first week they both do all right, and on the second week, one of them, the new one, turns around and goes, right, we'll give you a large cup of coffee for the price of a regular cup of coffee. Every fucker is going to go, brilliant, I'm going to go there. Thanks very much. See you later. But then realistically, is that a better quality product? No. It's a bigger quality product. It's more money to be made by certain people. Doesn't mean it's better. If you want to make the game better, you need to be able to level the playing field for multiple teams. Competitive is what makes the game better. This takes away competition. And going back to the question that was said earlier about how it ruins the Premier League, the clubs, let's say this goes through. Let's say this whole Super League goes through. You've got, I don't know, let's say Kovacic. Let's use him as an example, right? Kovacic came from Real Madrid to us because they're not a direct rival. They're not. He obviously is now, you know, obviously we played him a couple of weeks, but at the time they are not a direct rival. So that's fine. That means absolutely nothing. But if you think that Kovacic in a Super League format, we don't really need him. Are we going to sell him to Chelsea? No, because they're now a direct rival. They're now in our league. The same reason we don't want to sell players to Man United, to Tottenham, to Arsenal, to Man City is because they can come back and bite us on the arse. So all it's going to do is go, great, these are the products that we've got, a couple of Premier League players, a couple of big Champions League names. All of a sudden, they're not that good anymore. Where are we going to sell them to? We're not going to sell them anywhere other than outside of this European Super League. Same thing, how are you going to improve your squads? All you're going to do is go to teams like Leicester, go to teams like PSG, go to teams like Bayern Munich, go to teams like Ajax, Porto, Benfica, Marseille, Lyon, other teams around it, Sevilla, Bilbao, all these, let's call them B quality teams, shall we? Is that a fair thing? Bar obviously Bayern Munich, Munich and PSG, whatever. You're going to go to these B quality teams and nick all their best players because they're the only place you're going to be able to get players from.
Yeah.
So you're taking away from all those leagues because all their best players are disappearing, and all you're going to do is give a couple of shit ones back. That's not sustainable. Do you think Borussia Dortmund are just going to produce player after player after player after player? Fuck no. They have a load of misses. The only thing about this, with this whole European Super League fuckery, essentially, is that the teams at the top have no risk whatsoever because they know they're going to get protected every single year. Like, you look at, again, the NFL, I'll use that as an example because I know it quite well. The best team in it, usually up there. People want to go and play for those big teams because they've got a chance of winning the whole thing. Teams down the bottom, they get rewarded for being shit by getting good quality draft picks. So there's a balance. Teams equally get better and worse. At some point in this, and if I had to put a gamble on it, and it's no dig at them, to be fair, it would probably likely to be Arsenal, Tottenham, and probably one of the Italian sides are going to be the whipping boys of the whole thing. they're going to be the shit teams, and they're never going to get better. So after a while, this 12-league Super League, whatever shambles you want to call it, becomes 9, and then all of a sudden it becomes 8, and then 7, and then 6 will probably be about as small as you could do it. Why wouldn't you just keep the format as it is? There's nothing wrong with it at all. Things need to improve, yes, but is this whole drastic change going to make the whole thing better? Fuck no. So why would you do it? No. It's all about the quality of the game. If you care about the quality of the game, you don't do it. If you care about the quality of your pocket, that's where you got a problem. And the fans, every single week, you gamble in terms of going to games, hoping you get 3 points. You pay 60 quid to go and watch Chelsea versus fucking West Brom. We get whacked 5-2. You take the gamble. If you take the gamble every single week, why aren't the clubs going to take the gamble as well with you? Instead, they're going to sit here in absolute security going, we are completely and utterly fine because we've got every single thing we need, which is only one thing, and it starts with them. 5 letters long. I'm pretty sure you fucking guessed what it is. That's all they give a shit about. And you watch, funnily, I don't know if you've seen it on Twitter or not, the last couple of minutes, the people that are backing up and chairing the board and being vice chairs and whatever are all the big superpowers across it, fronted by whatever his fucking name is, Perez.
Florentino Perez.
Meant to be Perez, the Glaziers, and Kroenke.
FSG. And John W. Henry, I think his name is.
From Liverpool.
So the big six, or the owners that were up, was Perez is the chairman, or the president, I can't remember what the thing is. Henry, owner of Liverpool. The owner of Juve, I can't remember what his name is.
Andrea Agnelli.
That's the
Andrea
one.
Agnelli.
The Glazers, and
Joel
Kroenke,
Glazers, and Kroenke,
I think. Or was there one more? I think that was all.
Also,
I think your point here, to Ian's point as well, just if we want to look at our club solely, just take it on our club, that Haaland deal we're so hopeful happens in the summer. Those deals ain't happening. We're never getting a Haaland. We're never getting an Mbappe. Kai Havertz, we're never getting that type of deal again because he'll go to Real Madrid or to Barcelona or to Man United if they invest, or to who else is up there? If a Juve, if they decide to invest, because they'll be the bigger team. So then you're relying on us to go and scout some of those hidden known talents. When was the last time we did that? And I'm not talking about I wouldn't say Kante was a hidden known talent because he came from Leicester. How good he was. When was the last time you can genuinely say we went out and scouted someone, some hidden gem from a team or a league that wasn't very known?
They're all academy players.
Probably John Obi or something. I can't.
And how fucking long ago was that?
That was 15 years ago.
So you're relying on our scouting team, and our scouting team, as we've seen, as I've talked many times on this
I'll
channel,
say De Bruyne, to be fair, but it still keeps the point.
Aspi probably.
So and again, how long ago was that?
Hold on, I got a question here because this doesn't make any sense. So we're saying we won't get Haaland or Havertz or anything because they'll go to Real Madrid.
Yep.
That's what they want to do now. What's the difference?
Difference is that we're going to have an ability to stop them. If you turn around, this is essentially going to be every single country in the world that owns a football team going to be competing against each other, and we are not going to have a chance.
Why we have money?
Real Madrid and Barcelona.
We have money because we play in the most profitable league in the world. That's why we have money.
No, we have money because we have a rich owner.
What I'm saying is,
we have money because we play in the most profitable league in the world.
Hold on.
The only
still money. We're still talking about money. We're not talking about the traditional love for the game. We're still talking.
No. But we're going from being a big fish in the biggest league in the world to being a semi-medium fish in the biggest league in the world, where everyone's going to be paid the same. If this figure that Jester pulled out earlier, the 350 million, is a thing. If every team gets that, Real Madrid are soon going to be back to their spending 100 million on Galacticos left, right, centre, especially if Perez is owning this damn thing.
But this is the other thing as well, also, is the players that are going to be able to move around, where are they going to be pulled from? They're only going to be pulled from a handful of fucking clubs. And it depends on who's got relationships with who about who's going to get those players. It's all just backhanders. It's all bollocks. It's all complete shite. There's no transparency with it at all, because in the end of the day, you still are selling people. That's what you're doing. You're not selling a stock. You're selling people to these places, and it all depends on people. What they're trying to do is have this kind of computer-based run system that is essentially, oh yeah, well it all goes well unless it unless it doesn't profit one of these probably big 5 teams. Chelsea are going to be just outside that, I think. And the reason we have actually got money as well, Jesters, to be fair, is because we do have a very rich owner, which is fine. The only reason he invested in our football club is because we are in the best league in the world. Even 15 years ago, 20 years ago when he came in, we were still in one of the best leagues in the world, and he saw it as a project, and he's done amazingly well.
And he
saw best league in the world is debatable.
I guarantee,
yeah.
I guarantee, if there was no pandemic going on right now, and if there were fans in the stadium, I don't think none. Do you guys personally believe this would have come up? Like, this would have happened?
Yes, they've been talking about for years.
It's been in the works for years.
What they introduced.
No, hold on. I get what Tyrese is trying to say. Tyrese, I don't think it would have come out as suddenly, or I don't think it would have come out as basic as it is. You know how we're really not getting any details with where the money's going to go, how it's going to be separated. We're not getting any of those details. So we're just talking about the general idea of it, right? So once we get the details, we can get more into it. But for right now, just the general idea of the fact is, I think this is better for Chelsea than it is to stay in the normal.
Man.
But
hold on. Let me finish.
Because
we're guaranteed a spot in a cup, right? We're guaranteed to make more.
We've already done that this year.
We'll be able to take away. So
I'd rather have competition.
For Chelsea specifically, this is going to be great.
No,
Chelsea.
it's not. No, it's not.
No, not really. Actually,
because we are not owned by a country.
I was with you when you were saying.
Is it going to only be a problem for English football? But why is it not a problem for Spanish, German, and Italian football?
Well, the Germans aren't.
I don't live in Spain. I don't know.
The Germans are not in it because they got owners full of.
Because they've got fucking morals.
Yeah, I was going to say every single team in.
It's a problem for La Liga. It's a problem for the
owned by fans.
Yeah,
Dortmund.
Karl-Heinz Rummenigge is a former Bayern Munich player. He's owned the club as well.
I was going to say every team in the Bundesliga bar 2, I think 49% of the club is owned by the fans.
Yes.
I think it's 51.
51%.
No, I think it's 49.
No, 51% owned by a majority shareholder. So there is someone that has a majority.
Okay. But yeah, I think Dortmund hasn't signed because of that. PSG, their owners are they own it's Qatar.
It's a country. This is what I'm coming back to. This is a country. As a football club, you're trying to take on a country. After a while, certain teams are going to prevail. It will be Man City, it will be PSG, it will be Real Madrid, and you just know who the usual suspects are. And also another thing as well, I think you'll all remember that that Real Madrid and Barcelona, both in the last 12 months, had major financial difficulties.
Yeah.
Because of the pandemic. All of a sudden, this thing comes out of the water, and it's all about making them money. Oh, is it a complete shock? Of course it's fucking not a complete shock. It's a load of fucking money grabbing dickheads at the top of it. That's all it is. That is all it is. And I was just going back to your point about saying about we don't know what the full details are yet. We never will. This is I've got a royal flush here. Come and prove it. And you'll never find out if they ever had it because you fold the second after. All it is about trying to make our product better. And the La Liga will shit themselves, the Premier League will shit themselves, Serie A will shit themselves about their best players going, and UEFA is going to think, oh fuck, our only competition that's worth watching, the fucking Champions League, is going to go completely down the Swanee. It's not worth any more time, honestly.
If they cared about the fans and this wasn't just a money thing, they'd release details about how financially it's going to work. They'd give you details that will help pay for your travel to the countries. Say you are going to play in Dubai.
Yes, they won't.
Not in that country will help pay for that travel. Or this is where the money's going to in the club, so you know exactly how your club can improve. But they haven't. It's not surprising that no details have come out. It's because they don't want any details to come out.
I can't remember who said it earlier. I can't remember who said it earlier just when I was switching on, but someone was saying about coming over from America to watch Chelsea. I can't remember who said it.
Yes,
that was me. It was me.
Was you? Right. So in terms of coming over from America to watch Chelsea and whatever, and you were saying about how the whole trip, I mean, I've done it the other way. I'm a big Dolphins fan. I've come over to America to watch the Miami Dolphins. We lost fucking both games, shambles. But I went all the way over there and I paid the money. I've done it now and I will do it again in the future. it's not about the enjoyment that you get or the value for money when you get there. Because did I get value for money out of the games that I went to? Fuck no. We got outscored like 110 to about 6. We got annihilated. It was awful. But you take the risk, you take the gamble, you enjoy it, you make the most out of that. Now, it's a little bit different because obviously I live in London and obviously I'm able to go to a lot of Chelsea games as they are around the corner from me. But that's why I support the team. They're my local team. It's who my dad supported. That's why we support the team. Again, as much as I get from being a fan from around the world, it's a very different aspect to being a fan that's regularly here in the UK.
100%.
Now, in terms of the Dolphins stuff, I've got fucking Dolphins merchandise left, right, and centre. That's because I'm willing to pay a little bit more money because I've got the disposable income to do it. Doesn't mean everyone around the world does. It's just a case of how you're going to support your team. And there's no right or wrong way to do it. Of course, that's your own individual interpretation of how you can and how you can afford to do it.
Personally,
but all this does is takes away from the massive potential of English football and European football in general. I keep saying English football because obviously I'm talking about Chelsea, but European football in general, all these people that have the ability to go and support their clubs, that just like that are going to have that ability taken away from them because they're not able to go and travel to certain games. They won't pay for travel to certain countries all over the world. I'd love to go to Dubai. Am I going to go and watch fucking Chelsea versus Tottenham in Dubai? No. Fuck that shit. AFTV did it for a video when they played some absolute nobody in Dubai. Did it get any fucking views? No. It's not worth doing, especially when you can stick in your own fucking country and do it anyway, where the product is going to be a lot better because there's no guarantee that in 5 years' time, if this Super League happens, that Chelsea or Spurs or Arsenal or Man City, or Man City a little bit less, Man United, Liverpool, AC Milan, fucking Inter Milan, there's no guarantee that any of these teams aren't fucking shit. At least at the moment, they're still going to keep it competitive and it's going to be fucking interesting. If it ain't broke, don't fucking fix it.
So
I think as
can I
well.
quote you on this, Craig, that this is all just a dick measuring contest?
Of course it is. They just want to go, oh yeah, here we are. Let's see what's going on. Oh, I've got a fucking bigger package than you have. That's what the fuck it is. My dad's better than your dad.
There's a comment that I've seen that I think I think is
and there's no comment again. No announcement.
I think there's another comment I've seen that I think it highlights another problem with this, and that's we're seeing at the minute in the Premier League where some of the games we watch, like even the big games, the Chelsea Uniteds, maybe not the real rivalries like your Merseyside derbies or your Manchester derbies or whatever, or North London, but like the big games between Chelsea and United or Chelsea and Liverpool or Liverpool United, they're not as big because the quality's less. The players aren't in it for the same reasons as back then, and it's almost become another match. What happens when a Chelsea versus Madrid becomes just another match, or a Chelsea versus Barcelona becomes just another match? There's no, at least with the Champions League, at least with the Champions League and the way it is now, when we face Real Madrid in this semi-final, it's a big deal because we haven't faced Real Madrid in a long while. We get to face Courtois again and possibly Hazard. It's a big deal being in the semi-final. What happens when that just becomes just another match? There's no step above. There is no.
It would still be a big deal, though.
It would be a big deal, but we see it in the minute in the Premier League.
It's still a trophy.
No, it would still be a big. When we faced Liverpool in the Champions League, that was still a huge deal to us because it was us against Liverpool. It didn't make a difference because we were already in the league. Do you know what I mean?
No, rare. We're going to be playing Liverpool, Man United, and Arsenal 4 times a season at least.
This just becomes the Premier League. That's the argument.
And that's the thing.
The Premier League, the UEFA are going to block any team that's in it from playing in their own individual countries. So they'll block us playing in the Champions. They'll block us playing in the Premier League. They'll block us playing in the FA Cup, League Cup, whatever. They'll block all of that shit. So literally, this Super League becomes your league. So it's just another league game.
Yeah, all of a sudden it just becomes stagnant. You end up seeing like us just and if say for example what me and Craig Ian spoke about, where it's like the best few teams just improve and the rest kind of stagnate or improve in bits and pieces, but it's not bad. It's just with us watching get battered by Real Madrid every time, or us maybe scraping a 1-0 win, or it's just becomes so monotonous and so stagnant, and there is no level above. There's no what we've got at the minute, where we've got, we might face a United and it might be a boring game and it might be, I've seen this so many times, but then we've got the Champions League to look forward to. We've got a Madrid or a Barcelona or a Juve or a Porto. We haven't got that. There's no step above. So it just becomes all monotonous. It just becomes one monotonous cycle.
Just to add to that as well. Just to add to that as well, this is one competition. We'd only be allowed to play in one competition. If you have 2 0-0 draws against Real Madrid, for argument's sake, in this, that's it. That's done all season. Actually, let's change that. Let's say it's Man City, and you get 2 0-0 draws against Man City, right? That's it. Game done and dusted. If you also play in the FA Cup, you then have a third chance to go and play against Man City, and one of the teams has to go out. There has to be a different result. The game might not be that good, but at some point, someone's got to break. That's not going to happen in terms of the Super League. Again, there's no gamble in it for these teams as much as there is for the fans. It's all about the fans for me, and I get that it's a business, but the fans are the ones that are paying the money for the business. We're the ones that pay for the TV rights. We're the one that buy the Adidas pair of shoes because that's what you've seen our favourite player wear. We're the ones that invest our money, that are doing our work to go and get a better product to enjoy our football. Are we enjoying our football? No. So why would we give a fuck and why would we buy into it? At least at the moment, we are enjoying it. And again, I don't know what the shirt sales are in the last 24 hours, but I'm pretty sure that some of the shirt sales for Chelsea have gone up, knowing that we're now in an FA Cup final. Same way they would have gone up for Leicester as well, or Southampton, regardless which one of these two teams would have won. That doesn't happen in the Super League because you just know every single year, well, we're going to be in it next year, and we're probably not going to win it again next year. And how does that become entertaining? At least with the Champions League, we've made.
In support of a Super League, and now hearing you guys, fuck Super League. It's a league.
Yeah, fuck that shit.
I mean, literally, Americans are using English team to destroy English football.
Well, I don't know if it's quite Americans. I know it's quite an American idea, but I don't think it's completely American.
Okay, so you just gave no.
I was nearly there.
That's just
I was nearly there,
generalizing as
and then
hell.
Yeah.
I was so close to fully agreeing with you, Klatev, and then you lost me right at the end.
Go tell Roman. Go tell Roman he's American.
All of America together, like it's not that.
Go tell Roman he's American now. I'm sure he doesn't know.
Yeah.
So
man, I'm not into Super League now, man. It's gonna be so boring.
Because you're a Wolf.
I know Abramovich is a Russian and he's an Israelite. So.
I don't know. I mean, I said it from the beginning. I've said it from the beginning. I'll only support the Super League if the whole 15 permanent teams are not a thing, because that is outrageous. There's no reason for.
Yeah. But that's the franchise system in America. There's no risk, no reward. It's just
every year, and it's gonna be boring, man. It's gonna.
Who are the three Italian teams? By the
That's
way,
what I'm against.
AC Milan, Inter, and Juve.
But the good thing is, the clubs can back out. Like it can be over after 1 year. Like United would say, "Nah, it's not really working for us.
That's
We're
the
gonna back
stupidest thing I've ever heard. Like that, you're risking everything for a year of. You're risking.
it would
pissing
never
off.
work.
Yeah, like that.
And
Unless you make that clear to all like UEFA on all the FAs, it's only for 1 year. It's to bring in money because of the pandemic. If there's a way you go about it that doesn't make you look like massive bellends, and they've gone about it the way that makes them look like massive bellends. Like, if they do it for 1 year, it's because it's a flop, and if it's a flop, then fucking hell, how have you managed to balls it up?
Yep.
How the fuck are we gonna, defend this? Like, how the fuck are we gonna stop this?
We don't.
You're not
What
gonna
can we
stop
do? We'll do it. This is the thing.
There
We
is
show massive support against it.
Protest.
That's what we can do.
Protest,
You can
mate.
protest all you want to. You can write as many letters as you want to. Money talks and bullshit walks. That is what you need to learn.
But
That's
this
I
is the
understand
thing,
where
it's
you're
money
coming
talk.
from, but
You
this is
stop
never
investing in it,
going
they're
to
fine.
work. This is not going to work. Yeah, a Super League is going to come in, and since as I said before, it's going to replace domestic competition. So they're saying. If that does happen, right? Do you think the government of France are going to say, "Oh, there's a Super League going around, so we're gonna reduce the prices of ticket prices from London to Paris"? Do you think they're going to do that? No. You still have to pay money to go to Paris,
Why does NBA teams doesn't play in different countries? They're always like
bro.
The NBA and the NFL do play in different countries.
Yeah, they play all over the world.
They do.
But
They do play in different countries.
NFL's playing in England.
Yeah, they have games at London.
They have 4 games a year in England. 4.
In the NFL, yeah.
Is it just 4 games? Like, or is there other games in like other
No,
countries?
it's 4 games every single year.
No, Mexico.
No,
they play
is it
in
like-
Mexico.
And by the way,
So is it just England, or is there like 4 games? Is it
No, there's 4
elsewhere, or
games
is
in
it?
England. There was 1 game in Mexico, and I think that was it.
So the NFL.
by the way, just for an idea of how ridiculous that is, NFL teams only get 16 home games a season anyway.
No,
for
they
their
get
playoffs?
16
They get
games. They get 8 home games.
8 home games, and then some of them are taken away because some of them are played in Wembley in London. Like
So
that's
like,
ridiculous.
My team again, the Dolphins, we hosted the Super Bowl a few years ago.
Of
We were meant to
course-
come
of course
over
it's
because
for
we
money.
gained a game, but you should always really keep 8 games.
Like I'm
But-
similar to Craigo, I'm a fan of the NFL. I support the Washington football team. Now, if they came to Wembley,
Christ.
terrible, exactly, because we're waiting for a draft pick every single year because there's nothing
Yeah,
to
they
play for
never
at the
come.
end of the season. Pointless. But if they came to Wembley, I'll probably go watch them at Wembley. But I care more to go and see them in DC. That's the point.
Where it means more.
Like,
Yeah, exactly.
DC sucks.
it's that team.
You'd better go see him at Wembley.
Yeah, you bet.
I actually quite like DC.
I've been to
The
DC.
traffic
I've been to
is
DC
crap.
so many times. I've been to DC so
I
many
live
times.
in the
like
DC
it.
area. You don't want to
Is
go
it?
there.
I quite like
I've
DC.
been and I like it. I've been and I like it. Yo, I've been to see the Capitals as well, bro. I like it there. But the essence of those football teams is in the places that they're from. So as much as they should be, global and have like an outreach as well, I do agree with the preseason tours in different countries and all these things. The base has to be at home. That's why
Yeah,
it's
man.
called the Washington Football Team. That's why it's called Chelsea Football Club, because it's in Chelsea.
Mm-hmm.
I blame Meghan Markle. I blame on Meghan Markle.
Oh, fuck it.
Oh my
Jesus.
God. I blame Meghan Markle. She's the one bringing down like
Christ.
Yo, Class F is just.
Oh my god.
Meghan Markle.
Astaghfirullahalazim. Wait.
Meghan Markle has ruined English football. What?
I'm not opening.
Yeah.
Don't open this box.
Yeah, don't.
Don't open this box. That's
Is he the one that proposed the full say?
You can't be serious.
She did.
Meghan Markle probably would have said Chase Bank like she did to Netflix and Oprah Winfrey. Oh, let's fuck England.
Why?
A question. When is this announcement?
Oh,
Are we ever getting this
I don't know. I
announcement?
don't think it's coming tonight.
It's not coming.
It was meant to be on at 10:30, and it's still not here. So I
That's
think
the
everyone's
announcement everyone's waiting for.
For the Super League.
For what?
I don't know.
The official announcement that teams are leaving.
It was a letter of intent that was meant to come out at 9:30, and then they said it was an announcement at 10:30 that was meant to come out.
Right.
And now there's still nothing.
Because all we've heard, the reason we're having this conversation is because of reports of the announcement.
Everything is allegedly.
Yeah, everything's alleged. We don't know a single thing has been confirmed.
I still think
you say that, but I'd say
it's just a push from them to try and get rid of the Swiss model that they're trying to make for the UCL from 2024.
I don't like that.
It's
I
a
don't like
final
Can
try.
somebody explain what the Champions League model they're trying to do is?
Yeah, because I don't
This is the
understand
thing.
it.
They're bringing out this statement of intent, going, "Oh, look, we've got a royal flush," before UEFA turn around and go, "What their fucking hand is." That's what they're trying to do.
But
They're trying to force the hand of UEFA.
Craig, for me, UEFA doesn't have a very
Hang
good
on, well,
hand.
Jesters, what are you saying, Jesters?
I said UEFA doesn't have a strong hand at all.
No, I agree. I don't think they have either. But
Because if you lose those 12 teams out of those leagues are done and dusted.
But this is the thing: is it's now essentially change your hand before we force you to change your hand. That's what's going on. This is a do it right now. But you say essentially what the deal that you've got tomorrow is fucking shit. Change your minds before we go and ruin football for you. That's essentially what it is. And all it is to benefit the people that are already going to get shitloads more money anyway. But I
Do you
mean,
think it's
you look at-
FFP too?
sorry, what was that?
Do you think it's FFP too?
Well, that's all of a sudden disappeared out of
I
fucking
was
nowhere.
thinking
So
about
yeah,
that.
probably something to do with it.
I think it has something to do with it as well. I've been thinking about that for the past hour. I've been saying since FFP's there's no more FFP if this have anything to do with this Super League thing. Because if that's the case, it means that this is going to happen.
Do you remember when it was being spoken about before and FFP wasn't really a thing, and then it started to become a thing and everyone stopped talking about it, and now all of a sudden FFP stopped, everyone started talking about it again.
Yeah, probably related, But you know what?
as a half German, I can seriously say that I enjoy games in England. Like I have no links with England. I enjoy games in England, and there are millions of people, like millions of foreign people, who enjoy local games, local English game. It's just the culture. It's just everything. I mean, how can you be so ruthless, man? How can
it takes away the identity of football? This Super League.
It does.
It takes
It
away
does.
the
It's just
identity of it
money.
completely.
And every country has their export that is like famous. And English football for us, I think, is one of our things. Like I wouldn't. What is that? Oh,
that's
Football fans uniting against the ESL.
Yeah,
You
you know,
need to
listen,
lose
yeah.
some, that's fine.
Listen how stupid this idea is, yeah. Listen to how stupid this is. If they try this Super League and they realize that your profit isn't that great and they want to abolish the whole thing, what's the point of doing it, man? And we're gonna lose. We'll lose money.
Listen, I'm not being funny. A lot of negative things has happened since Meghan Markle came to UK.
Get this guy out of here.
I'm not being funny. I'm not being funny. A lot of wrong things.
Goes down and opens a door he doesn't
Yeah,
open.
we cannot
Lewis,
be selling Europe.
me and Oscar were asking what the Swiss model is because I don't think either of us know what it is.
Well, I think it was. Wait, let me get up on here. It was. Where is this? Because I have to fill up. In the case of the proposed 36-team Champions League, clubs are set to play 10 matches against opponents determined by a seeding system. So it starts as a league table of 36 teams, and clubs will play 10 random matches determined by a seeding system that gives a roughly even split of games between high, medium, and low-ranked teams. After the 10 games, the top 8 clubs in the 36-team league will progress to the knockout stage, and that would also guarantee their qualification for the following season's Champions League as well, that top 8. And the teams that finish in positions 9 to 24 would enter a playoff round to determine the other 8 teams that progress to the Champions League from there. And from then on, it's just the last 16, and it goes on in the current system. So all it would do is just add about 100 more games because they'll have a big playoff round for 9 to 24 team ranked
I was
teams.
going to say, what was the playoff round part you said? Because that kind of went.
Everyone who ranks 9 to 24 goes into a playoff round. Everyone who ranks 1st to 8 get automatic qualification to next season's Champions League, and they go automatically through to the last 16 of that.
Don't necessarily
I'm
agree
not
with
gonna
that.
lie. I'm not going to lie. That's a fucking stupid idea.
Really?
They're only
Honestly,
doing it
it's
to add more
terrible.
games. It
It's
adds another
useless.
100. But my only thing
Number
is it
one,
another league table for the 9 to 24, or is it a knockout
No, I
round?
assume,
and then it goes
I
into-
assume it'll be like, you know how the Euros is, or the World Cup qualifiers, the Euro qualifiers, where it's like you play a load of qualifiers and it's like the best, like 4 teams, or the 4 teams that all win their qualifiers or something go.
I think it's a little bit different. I think it's going to be like NFL or NBA playoffs kind of standard. You have one ginormous league, and then it's the top. What was it? 12 teams? You said? Was it 9?
12 teams. I think 12 teams.
Top 8 teams. Sorry.
Top 8 teams go through 9 to 24 going to playoffs.
Go into a playoffs thing. So essentially, you top your group, or you become in the top 8 teams. So basically, you've got to look at really winning just about half your games, a little bit more. Then you're in. You don't have to worry about these playoff games at all. The essential thing is they want the big boys. You would assume your Real Madrid's, Barcelona's, PSG's, Bayern Munich's to go and win the games they need to go and win, and then just stop because they don't need to play anyone else. That's the logic essentially. Essentially, what they're trying to do is create more lower quality Champions League games that probably mean a little bit more. Because let's be honest, do you really care who finishes 3rd in the group and goes into Europa League? Not really. But you would care about who would qualify then into the round of 16, where it'd be a little bit more interesting.
I'm interested to know what this would do to the league then in terms of like position, because if you're saying the top 8 teams qualify automatically the next season, does that mean that like us in the Premier League, we have 4 teams, the top 4 teams qualify? Does only the top 3 qualify now?
Or the top
It'll be less than that. It'll be less than
then
that.
that's just fucking stupid. It just makes the league less enjoyable because like City or like Liverpool, if they're always in it, like if Liverpool have a season like they did this season, but in the Champions League getting that top 8, it was like, well, who gives a fuck? It just makes it worse. That's fucking stupid. It's so
Hold on 1 second. I got one last thing to say. I got one last thing to say.
Yeah, go on, Jesters.
Because I got to go. I appreciate you having me on, Lewis.
Of course.
I
Happy to have you on,
respect
bro.
everybody's opinion on here. you know, because you're this passionate, it shows that you are a Chelsea fan. True.
But that too
All right.
meant I didn't like it.
Hang on, let him finish.
I don't care. Let me finish, please.
I didn't like it. You need to apologize.
If you hate me or don't like me because of where I'm from, make sure you smash that like button, because I'm gonna come back and see how many people hate me, and I want to see a huge number.
Yes,
Okay?
Justice.
Yeah.
Nobody hates you, man.
So
Nobody hates
so
you.
smash that like button if you dislike me, please. And I gotta go. I got some business to take care of. Up the
I
Chelsea.
just thank you for jumping on, my guy. Much
We
You're
love
welcome.
Justice.
We'll see y'all later.
Yeah, bro.
Bye then,
Take
mate.
care. Hi, Ryan. We haven't heard from you. What are you saying, man?
I'm good, bro. I'm good.
Love the
innit?
trim, by the way. Love the
Yeah,
trim.
loving it.
Yeah, so it's
Bro,
all
I
good.
need to go to sleep, man. My battery is dead.
It's all mad, innit? I look like, a bit like a peanut at the moment, but we're moving it. But you see this whole like European Super League, man. The first time I heard about it, man, it sounds like a GCSE algebra equation, man. It's all long, like 36 into 8, and then you go in, and it's like there's no. If you want to change something, yeah, I think they should at least do it step by step. I don't really get why they're just trying to. You get me? It's trying to change everything at once. Like you get me? It's all a bit long for me, man. I think they should just keep it the same. And if they want to change something, change it gradually, man. But I don't like this whole idea of changing it all at once. So yeah.
Especially when there's no guarantee that you're actually getting the best teams in the tournament, in the actual tournament.
The reason they're changing it so drastically is because of the failings of UEFA, the failings of the Premier League to sort of stop this from happening. Because it's been in the works for like 10 years. You could it's been a gradual.
What do you
thing.
mean by failing to stop, though? What do you mean
As in, because the reason this is happening is because the Premier League clubs or the top tier clubs don't feel like they're getting their even split when it comes to the Premier League. What Chelsea bring to the Premier League is way more than the teams that are in 15, 16, and 17.
Yeah, but they get that in the TV deal. That's what's stupid.
What do they?
Yeah.
Well, they should get it
I
in the
think they do,
merchandise
because they get based on the games that are televised, and more often than not, the bigger teams get more games televised.
Yeah,
So if
but
you
they
look at a
still
table-
believe they could bring in more.
When you think about how much these clubs are worth.
Yeah, no, but their arguments are dumb then, based on.
It's not. It's not. It's not.
That is their argument.
It's not dumb, because what they're doing is they're taking their situation into their own hands. The Super League is run by the super club, not run by UEFA or FIFA or the FA. So if there is a poor business decision being done by the Premier League, these guys are billionaires, so they can turn around and say, "Well, hold on, I wouldn't run it like that. I would run it better." So they're going to run it rather than having it being run by someone else. Now, the league that they've proposed, I think it's a silly idea. It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't uphold the sanctity of football when you're not letting teams rise up the ladder. That's what I hate about it. But the idea that these clubs want to leave the current business model is not shocking to me, because it's not the best way to do it.
It's not the best business model either. And I think the argument that's going to be had is, I keep saying about this streaming service, which I think is going to be a massive part of this if it were to come through. If Real Madrid versus Barcelona is on, right? If that is on, let's just say on a random Saturday night, people are going to tune in to watch it. You click on the streaming service and they will have facts and information and mega data about people that are watching that game. They'll turn around and go, well, great. Well, let's say, I don't know, just a random number, 20 million people watch El Clasico compared to 6 million people that watch Chelsea versus Arsenal. They'll know, right, that Real Madrid and Barcelona, they brought in more money than these people did. So they get more money come the end of the season. And there's actually an even split compared to what the Premier League's doing, which is all of a sudden we go, okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to do this and we're going to split it all up equally. And then if you're on telly, then you get a little bit more money, because that's unpredictable. It's very smart from the Premier League clubs. And again, I keep saying Premier League, it's all the clubs across Europe. It's very, very reasonable what they're doing. They're just going about it the wrong way. That's the big problem, because they want to take business into their own hands. And if they can, they will. The only thing they're not considering is the people that are going to actually watch the fucking thing, which is us.
Which does not make any sense. Because
they're not taking the fans into
get,
consideration.
I don't get, like, if it's going, basically, if the Premier League is not going, if we're going to be all the Prem, and you have to be traveling every single week. That's going to be a lot of money,
Yeah,
and
but
eventually. But bro, that is going to get expensive.
I know
You're
what
gonna be doing
you're
this
saying,
every week.
bro. Sorry to cut you off, bro. But I know exactly what you're saying. But when they proposed this Super League, they are
Let
not
me finish my
proposing-
point when you're done, though.
They're not proposing a league outside of the Premier League. They proposed a league to rival the Champions League, and the Premier League have stepped in and gone, you know what? If you do this, you're not going to be
I
in our league.
understand.
So that wasn't their intention. All right, cool.
Okay,
fair enough.
well, I understand that. But the thing is, yeah, if you're out of the Premier League and you're in this big league, you live in England, correct? If you would you prefer to just go up the road and go and watch a game at Selhurst Park, or would you rather like that's going to be cheaper for you? Do you rather go and pay? I don't know how much money it takes to get to Madrid from London. Do you rather do that every week, to go from Madrid to Paris every week, to all over Europe? I mean, it's good for a person that likes to travel, but it's also very expensive. So
for the money you're paying, after a while, the experience becomes incredibly fucking boring. Because if you know that you've got to go to Madrid 3 times a year or whatever, you just fucking hell, this is another 50 quid I'm gonna have to spend on a cheap flight at 3 o'clock in the morning, and then all of a sudden you can go, I'm just gonna hop down the road to Selhurst Park on the fucking overground. Bob's your uncle, done, finished. It's the simplicity of it massively.
Sooner or later, the using it as an experience, like going to Madrid, no longer becomes an experience because you've done everything there is to do in Madrid.
Yeah,
Same thing I was saying about being a Dolphins fan. You go over to the Miami, you see the game. It might be good, it might be shit. You use that as experience. I won't be able to afford to go this year, probably next year. The following year, I'll go back again, and hopefully.
At the end of the day, we gamble ourselves. Basically.
It's to a slightly lesser scale, but for me, I liken this in terms of my life to going to uni in London. I used to love going to London with my grandparents, but being at uni in London has not soured my experience, but it's made it a lot more. It's not made it special being in London. London is now just another place to me because I'm there so much.
Yeah,
and it used to be someplace I enjoyed going.
It's actually a very good point, Matt. In terms of England at Wembley, I don't like England playing at Wembley because I don't think it has the same impact anymore. I'd like England to go and play games on the road and then play really big games at Wembley in front of 90,000 fans, because the people that play at Wembley every single month, multiple times a month as well, depending on who you're playing for and whatever, it just takes you away from it massively. The day out at Wembley should be the reward. I don't like the FA Cup semi-finals being at fucking Wembley. I can't stand it. Neutral ground, fair enough, but in terms of Wembley, no, it should be the day out. If you appear there 3 times a year, Man City, a local football club to me, Man City normally get a load of their coaches kind of just parked there by the fans and whatever. They walk up the road, get on the train and go. Man City can't fucking set up their allocation for a FA Cup semi-final against us. They wouldn't have sold it out because they'll think, we'll be back for the final. And even when the final comes around, they probably won't sell out half the tickets because people get so fucking accustomed to it. It becomes boring. It becomes so fucking boring. Well, we're lucky because obviously we're up the road from fucking Wembley. We can just turn around and go, brilliant, we'll just jump up the road to go on the train, la-di-da-di-da, just another game. If you change it up, you offer people a better experience and a different experience all the time, then superb. I really like going to Norwich away. It was one of my favourite away days I did. Got up at stupid o'clock in the morning, we went and won 3-2. Brilliant day out. They've now come back up to the Premier League. Sweet. If it would have been this season, I wouldn't be able to go and do it. So now I think, 2 years' time, if they have come back up, which they have, I'm thinking next season, yes, I can go to fucking Norwich away. And it also looks likely that Brentford could potentially come up, or Watford could come back. And I think, yes, I'll go to Watford away, I'll go to Brentford, or I'll go to, Swansea or someone like that. It's just someone a little bit different, which is what I hate with these yo-yo teams that just go up and down. But
yeah, I get what you're saying, mate.
It's interesting. It's different. It's a better experience than paying the same fucking money week in, week out to go to a shit place you don't really give a shite about for the overall experience.
Yeah, but
it's horseshit.
But I do think it's a bit of. Don't you think that's right?
Answer my question though. In terms of affordability, do you
last
would you
point,
rather,
guys? Can we wrap it up?
Let's close this off.
Would you rather just travel? Would you rather travel to, I don't know, to Southampton or go and watch me play at St. Mary's than to go and spend a lot of money and go to travel to, I don't know, Dubai to play Southampton? Well, not to play Southampton, to play Real Madrid.
Okay, so a big thing for me, and I think maybe other people have a different opinion, is going to Southampton and going and doing those trips that are just up the road are great. It also means that when you go over to Madrid and play Madrid in Madrid, it means so much more. It means you get more out of the experience, regardless of the result.
Yeah,
Lewis can tell you about
that's
when he went to
fact, that's
fucking
fact, that's
Amsterdam.
fact.
He really loved it in Amsterdam. Fucking great
What a
time.
trip.
If you did that every single fucking year, you'd be bored shitless.
That's
Mhm.
fact. That's the point I'm trying to say, mate.
Well, you would be fine, but most
Guys,
people would be
if
bored.
we're just looking at what, let's say Chelsea supposedly signed this deal for the Super League. What Chelsea signed up for is not to leave the Premier League. Chelsea signed up to join this better version of the Champions League. And if it's just that, then I don't think the amount of games is that much of an issue.
That's what
Well,
I think.
I'm just hoping the international football is still there and no one like really gets banned or anything.
I love international football as well. I agree.
After discussing it, I think this is after discussing it, I think this is a heavy, just not bluff, but I don't think clubs like the idea of the new Swiss format or whatever it was called. And to be honest, especially with the amount of, I know this is a congested season, but with the amount of injuries that have appeared this past year, I really don't think clubs are going to sign up to have more games, especially with the new format that
they definitely will.
I think as well, guys, yeah. You see with the Super League, yeah, I feel like the way football is right now, I like it that there's 5 other big teams in the league that we play against, and the rest of the other 14 are other favorable games to us. I like it when the big teams lose to the small teams. And for instance, Arsenal lose to a Real Madrid. There's going to be no banter there because all the teams are going to be big. And like having to rotate as well during big games, sometimes you need them smaller teams and smaller teams get into the top 6 level as well. I like the way football is right now, and the Champions League. We're heading under the right direction under Tuchel, and we're just gonna have to be thrown in to a Super League with every big team for the money when we're heading into the right direction since maybe 2012 to win this Champions League. So the way football is right now is perfectly fine for us and for other teams as well. They all have goals and objectives that is perfectly achievable if the owners put the work in, or the manager put the work in, or the players put their work in, and they can all everyone wants to have the same goal in football as teams, and that's just to get to the Champions League. And it's easier for us and harder for others. So the way football is right now, there's no need to change it, man. There's no need.
Would you say that football is fair right now?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't want to say it's 100% there.
What I'm saying is we can change.
But it's okay right now.
Because we don't have FFP. Remember that. There is no FFP.
For me personally, I'm not liking all the drama that's going around. Like when football comes to these situations, I'm just fucking had enough of it.
Oh, that changed.
Well, that's a perfect way for it to end. Big up, guys, for everyone who's been locked in.
Fucking had enough.
Yeah.
What a fucking life.
What a fucking piss take, lads.
Take care. Like and subscribe, and like we always say, up the Chelsea. We'll be back tomorrow for another live stream. Take care of yourselves. Love, up the Chelsea.
Yeah.